Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Facts channel. Tonight, we drift together into one of the quietest, deepest landscapes the mind has ever known. A place that unfolds behind your closed eyes, shaped not by the world around you, but by the gentle currents of thought and memory flowing within. As you listen, let your breath soften and your body grow heavy, as if gravity itself were tucking you in. The day can loosen its grip now. Every noise, every worry, every unfinished thought may fall away in small, delicate pieces, leaving only the stillness that prepares you for sleep. Dreams are. Waiting just beyond that stillness, soft shapes in the dark, forming and dissolving like distant clouds drifting across a night sky. When we speak of dreams, we are speaking of something both ordinary and extraordinary. Each night, without effort, without instruction, your mind creates entire worlds. These worlds obey their own physics, their own rhythms, their own strange and shifting logic. They are made of everything you have ever seen, felt, or wondered about, blended into stories that arrive without warning and leave without farewell. And even though dreams come to us so often, they remain mysterious, shimmering just beyond the reach of complete understanding. Scientists study them, poets describe them, and each of us experiences them uniquely, as private constellations glowing inside the dark. As you settle into this quiet moment, imagine the boundary between waking, sleeping as a shoreline at dusk. On one side lies the familiar world, the room you are in, the air you breathe, the weight of your own body resting against the ground. On the other side is the unknown, a gentle tide of images, sensations, and thoughts not yet shaped into story. The mind drifts between these two worlds, letting go of its need to remain alert. Muscles release the last bits of tension. The heart steadies itself into a softer rhythm. The brain begins its slow descent, wave by wave, into the deeper waters where dreams are formed. This descent is not abrupt. It is a quiet ceremony repeated every night of your life, guided by nature's patient timing. In this drifting, familiar things become softer. The sound of your breath, the faint ringing of silence, the steady pulse behind your ribs. Even your sense of time begins to loosen. Minutes stretch, thoughts lengthen, and the boundaries between ideas start to blur. This gentle confusion is not a mistake. It is the doorway. The mind begins to uncouple from its daytime responsibilities. No tasks to complete, no goals to pursue, no decisions to make. Instead, it leans into a wider, more fluid awareness. It becomes something like a quiet ocean current, moving without urgency or direction, simply following the path that feels most natural. As this happens, the brain begins to light up in slow, rhythmic patterns. Electrical pulses ripple through its networks, linking regions that rarely communicate during wakefulness. Memories from years ago can whisper beside impressions from moments ago. Emotions glow faintly, rising and falling like lanterns floating on water. The mind grows playful, curious, unbound. It begins to sample its own vast archive, weaving together fragments that never met before. Voice from childhood, a scent from a forgotten place, an image from a book you once read, a feeling you didn't know you remembered. These fragments begin to shimmer, combine, and transform under the soft chemistry of sleep. And soon, though you never feel the exact moment it happens, the final strand of waking thought unwinds, and the first dream begins to bloom. It forms quietly, like mist gathering around a lantern. At first, the scenes may be gentle and fragmented, images fluttering like loose pages in a breeze. But little by little, the dream deepens. The brain enters a realm where reality becomes fluid, where distances shift, where colors brighten, and where impossible things feel natural. You may fly without wings, breathe underwater, or speak to someone you've never met. Yet even the strangest dreams carry whispers from your waking life. Your hopes, your fears, your memories, your unanswered questions. Dreams are not random. They are woven from who you are. They are your mind thinking in a different language, one made of symbols and sensations instead of words. They turn emotions into landscapes, memories into characters, and questions into journeys. Even the dreams you forget have shaped you in small and quiet ways. They smooth the edges of stress. They soften difficult emotions. They help your brain decide which memories to keep and which to let fade into the gentle dark. They rehearse possibilities, explore dangers, practice courage, and sometimes offer comfort when you need it most. As you drift deeper, the body becomes still. The muscles fall into a temporary silence, held gently in place as the brain explores its nocturnal landscapes with vivid intensity. This contrast, still body, active mind, is one of the great mysteries of sleep. It protects you, keeping your physical form safe while your inner world moves freely. And in that freedom, the mind discovers things it cannot find in daylight. It finds creativity, insight, and clarity hidden beneath layers of everyday noise. It finds old memories and re-examines them under softer light. It finds emotions that need tending, offering them a quiet space to breathe. There is something profoundly human about dreaming. No matter where you live, what language you speak, or what life you lead, dreams visit you. They arrive without invitation and leave without explanation. They remind you that a part of you lives always in imagination, always reaching beyond the boundaries of waking life. They remind you that the mind is not simply a machine for solving problems, but a living, wandering thing, curious, emotional, symbolic, and endlessly creative. In dreams, you meet the hidden parts of yourself, the ones that rarely speak during the day but whisper clearly at night. And so, as we begin this journey through 100 quiet facts about dreams, allow yourself to drift even further from wakefulness. Let your eyelids feel heavy, your breath slow, your thoughts stretch into gentle, floating shapes. Let the world around you blur softly, like a distant horizon disappearing into night. Tonight, we wander together through the science of dreaming, a science woven not just from data and theories, but from the universal human experience of drifting into the unknown each night. 1. The landscape of sleep. The landscape of sleep begins long before your eyes fully close. It begins in the gentle dimming of thought, in the slow unraveling of the day's tension, in the way your awareness starts to loosen its grip on the world around you. As the body settles into stillness, the mind begins to descend through delicate layers of quiet, drifting toward a realm shaped not by sound or sight, but by the soft chemistry of rest. Each night, this descent follows a pattern older than memory, older than language, guided by circadian rhythms carved into the brain across millions of years. In this transition, consciousness becomes porous, shimmering between clarity and haze, like light passing through evening mist. And in that shimmering, the first seeds of dreaming are planted, small, flickering impressions gathering quietly in the background. It all begins with alpha waves, soft pulses of electrical activity that ripple gently across the surface of the cortex. These waves loosen the mind's posture, relaxing its vigilance, allowing it to step back from the sharp edges of wakefulness. In these early moments, you may feel yourself floating slightly, as though the boundaries of your awareness widen and soften. Thoughts become less linear. Images drift into one another without resistance. The mind grows open, spacious, receptive. This is the threshold between waking and sleeping, a quiet shoreline where the outer world grows dim and the inner world brightens, not in color, but in possibility. As the descent deepens, Alpha waves give way to slower, more fluid theta rhythms, the brain's gentle tides. Theta waves carry the flavor of intuition, drifting memory, and sudden flashes of imagery that rise without origin. During this stage, you may see brief fragments of faces, bits of landscape, or sounds with no clear source. These are not yet dreams, but the earliest stirrings of the dreaming machinery. The brain begins to sample its memories, stirring old experiences and scattering them like seeds into the dark soil of the unconscious mind. This is a delicate state. The world outside can still reach you: a faint sound, a shifting blanket, a stray thought, and the mind may rise briefly back to wakefulness. But with each return, it sinks deeper again, learning to trust the quiet. Muscles release more fully. The breath grows slow and rhythmic. Heart rate declines. Even the temperature of the body slips slightly downward, as if preparing itself for a long and inward journey. The eyelids flutter softly, not from dreams, but from surrender. The brain drifts further from the surface, easing into waters where conscious thought rarely swims. Strange sensations may appear: a sudden sense of falling, a faint tilt through empty space, a feeling of weightlessness. These come from the brain's shifting relationship with gravity and balance. As waking systems release their hold, the brain's internal model of the body begins to waver. For a moment, you may feel yourself floating or slipping. Occasionally, a sudden muscular jolt, the familiar hypnic jerk, pulls the body back, a brief echo of daytime vigilance resisting the night. But this reflex fades quickly. The body yields. The mind drifts deeper. Thoughts gradually transform into images. A memory becomes a scene. A sensation becomes a color or emotion. The mind, no longer anchored to external stimuli, begins crafting its own environment. This stage is the quiet workshop of dreaming, a space where creativity awakens softly, moving, without instruction, without effort. The mind becomes painter and canvas at once, storyteller and listener, experimenting freely with fragments of experience. It blends textures and symbols waking logic would never combine, not striving for meaning, but simply allowing possibility to unfold. As the senses withdraw, the inner world brightens. Vision retreats first, as the eyelids fall. Hearing becomes muted, though it never disappears completely. Instead, it softens, becoming less insistent. Touch remains, but its details blur. The skin remembers only the broad sensation of safety and warmth. Even gravity feels gentler, and as each sense quiets, the mind turns inward with greater attention, exploring its own terrain with curiosity it cannot express in daylight. During this early descent, the brain also begins its quiet housekeeping. It reviews the day, sifting through experiences, marking which memories to store and which to release. Emotions soften as they drift through this gentle filtering process. Stress loses its sharpness. Tension dissolves in the slow movement of theta waves. The mind prepares itself for deeper dreaming, clearing space for the vivid stories that will soon unfold. Hypnagogic imagery may appear: tiny flashes of light, swirling patterns, brief glimpses of scenes that vanish faster than the mind can follow. Some see geometric shapes, others glimpses of faces, others drifting shadows or soft colors. These moments are not dreams, but the brain practicing its art. Sensory regions fire spontaneously, creating impressions without external cause. These sparks are the preludes, the first brushstrokes of the dream to come. Time begins to loosen. Seconds lengthen. Thoughts unfold without sequence. The mind stops caring about order, letting memories from childhood mingle with impressions from the afternoon, as though they belong to the same moment. This fluidity is not confusion, but freedom. The strict structures of waking consciousness melt away, leaving a broader, more creative terrain for dreaming to grow. As awareness drifts further, the brain moves toward deeper sleep. Electrical waves slow into long, rolling patterns like swells crossing a nighttime ocean. Muscles release completely. The body becomes still, heavy, quiet. Breathing shifts into a gentle, automatic rhythm. The body and mind separate slightly, allowing the inner world to wander freely while the physical world rests. Yet even in this heavy stillness, the seeds of dreaming continue to grow. The drifting images, the softened thoughts, the little flashes of color, they settle deep within the unconscious. They wait. And when REM sleep arrives, the brain will rise again into a bright internal wakefulness, weaving those fragments into full stories. This early descent is not the dream, but the soil in which dreams take root. Without it, the mind would never find the freedom to explore the landscapes it builds each night. Eventually, though the exact moment goes unnoticed, consciousness crosses that final threshold. The outer world slips away. The inner world glows softly in its place. The landscape of sleep opens wide, and the mind steps gently into its own night. 2. The biology of dreaming. The biology of dreaming begins in a place both familiar and strange, deep within the living architecture of the brain. When you fall asleep, you do not simply switch off. Instead, your mind begins a quiet transformation, slipping from the structured clarity of waking thought into a world governed by rhythms, chemicals, and electrical storms that operate beneath your awareness. It is here, in this softly lit circuitry, that dreams are born. They are not illusions created from nothing, nor are they messages carried from beyond. They are the natural expression of a brain that remains awake inside its own darkness, weaving memory, emotion, and imagination together in ways waking life rarely allows. To understand the biology of dreaming is to understand how the mind continues its work even as the body rests, finding patterns, making meaning, and reshaping experience with quiet precision. As night deepens, your brain begins shifting through stages of sleep, each one marked by distinct electrical signatures. The most important of these for dreaming is REM sleep, a period of rapid eye movement when the brain becomes almost as active as it is when you are awake. But REM sleep does not simply appear. It is orchestrated by delicate interactions between multiple regions. In the pons, a small structure near the base of the brain, clusters of neurons begin to fire rhythmically, sending signals upward to activate the cortex. These signals ignite visual, emotional, and sensory networks, allowing vivid imagery to take shape. At the same time, inhibitory neurons send messages down the spinal cord that essentially switch off voluntary muscles, preventing the body from acting out its dreams. This combination, active mind, paralyzed body, creates the surreal inner theater of REM sleep, a condition where the mind can move freely while the body remains still and safe. In REM sleep, neurotransmitters shift dramatically. Serotonin and norepinephrine, chemicals associated with focus and vigilance, are almost entirely silenced. Their absence frees the brain from the constraints of logic and worry that shape daytime thinking. At the same time, acetylcholine rises sharply, fueling the cortex with activation and helping the brain generate the bright sensory world of dreams. Without the grounding influence of serotonin and norepinephrine, the dream state becomes fluid and malleable. Time stretches and folds. Places shift suddenly, and events unfold without the strict boundaries of waking life. The mind begins to wander through its own circuits, unbound by linear thought, guided instead by emotional weight, memory fragments, and the spontaneous choreography of neural activity. The visual cortex, responsible for processing sight during the day, becomes especially active during REM sleep. Even though your eyes are closed, the brain behaves as though it is seeing. It generates images from within, assembling them from stored memories and imagined shapes. These internal pictures can be sharp or vague, familiar or impossible, coherent or chaotic. They form the landscapes and scenes of dreams, often blending elements from different times and places into a seamless tapestry. What you see in dreams is not hallucination in the usual sense. It is perception turned inward, the visual system, operating without input from the outside world. Emotion plays a central role in this process. The amygdala, the brain's emotional guardian, becomes highly active during REM sleep. It colors the dream with feelings, fear, joy, longing, curiosity, sometimes more intensely than you would experience when awake. This emotional activation may explain why dreams often feel so vivid and meaningful, even when their content seems strange. The brain is not only generating images, it is amplifying the emotional signals that accompany them. For this reason, dreams often serve as a quiet, processing system for emotions that were too complex, too subtle, or too overwhelming during the day. In the safe environment of sleep, the mind can revisit these feelings, exploring them through metaphors, symbols, and stories that unfold in the fluid logic of the dream world. The hippocampus, the structure responsible for memory formation, behaves differently in dreams. During the day, it plays a central role in storing new memories, organizing experiences, and helping you learn. But during REM sleep, the hippocampus becomes less active, creating a sense of disconnection from real events. This is why dreams rarely follow exact memories, and instead blend fragments from many moments into new combinations. It is also why you can dream about people who have changed, or places that no longer exist. The brain is not replaying memories, it is remixing them. As this happens, the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for logic, planning, and self-awareness, goes quiet. This silence removes the inner narrator that questions impossibilities, allowing the mind to accept the strangest dream scenarios as natural and believable. Yet even as logic sleeps, creativity awakens. The default mode network, the system that fuels imagination and introspection, grows active during REM sleep. This network connects distant regions of the brain, encouraging novel associations between ideas. In dreams, this can produce insights or new perspectives that the waking mind might never reach. Many creative breakthroughs throughout history have emerged from dreams. A melody, an invention, a scientific idea suddenly revealed in the night. This is not mystical. It is the brain exploring itself, freely, unconstrained by the tight structures of waking reasoning. As REM sleep continues, cycles of neural activation sweep across the brain at high frequency, linking emotional memory with sensory imagery and imagination. These sweeping bursts create a narrative flow, turning scattered impressions into unfolding scenes. The storyline may shift abruptly, but each fragment emerges from a network of meaning that is deeply personal. Some scientists believe this process helps the brain strengthen important memories and dissolve unneeded ones. Others believe dreams serve as emotional rehearsals, allowing the mind to practice responses to challenges or threats. Still, others propose that dreams are simply the brain's way of staying active, preventing neural circuits from falling dormant during long periods of rest. The truth may involve all these elements, a complex choreography of biological purpose and spontaneous creativity. As dawn approaches, cycles of REM sleep grow longer and more intense. Dreams become richer, more intricate, and often more emotional. The brain is at its brightest within the darkness of sleep, producing entire worlds that rise and fall in minutes. Eventually, the chemistry of waking begins to return. Norepinephrine rises, serotonin returns, the prefrontal cortex begins to reopen its gates, and in this moment, the dream starts to dissolve. Some pieces remain, drifting upward into consciousness like feathers on a breeze. Others sink back into the quiet depths of the mind, never reaching the surface. The transition is gentle but unmistakable. The biology of dreaming gives way to the biology of waking, and the inner world yields to the outer. Dreaming may feel magical, but its roots are firmly biological, an intricate conversation between neurons, chemicals, memory circuits, and the silent emotions that drift through the mind. The dream world is built from matter and electricity, from ancient rhythms and nightly rituals. Yet even when explained, it remains mysterious, because the machinery of dreaming does more than replicate reality. It transforms it. It reshapes the raw material of your life into something expressive, symbolic, and deeply human. In this way, the biology of dreaming is not just a science of sleep, it is the science of the inner self, illuminated softly from within. 3. Why the sleeping brain stays awake. Inside. When the body surrenders to sleep, it appears to the outside, the world as though everything has gone quiet. The limbs grow still, the breath softens, the heart slows into a gentle, steady rhythm. From this outward silence, one might imagine that the mind also drifts into a tranquil emptiness. But inside the skull, behind the closed curtain of the eyelids, the brain remains astonishingly awake. It lights itself with electrical storms, holds conversations across its own networks, and orchestrates complex movements of thought that continue long after consciousness has stepped aside. The paradox of sleep is that even when you are not awake, your brain is working, exploring, repairing, imagining. While your body rests in its deepest stillness, a hidden intelligence continues its ancient vigil, guiding you through the night with rhythms both biological and mysterious. To understand why the sleeping brain stays awake, we begin with the simple truth that the brain cannot afford to stop. Even in sleep, it must regulate millions of tiny processes that keep the body alive. It must maintain breathing and heartbeat, balance internal chemistry, coordinate immune responses, process endocrine signaling, and monitor any faint danger that might require awakening. These are not small tasks. They demand a continuous stream of silent decision-making beneath consciousness. If the brain were ever to fully deactivate, the body would lose its navigator, its interpreter, its guardian. So sleep becomes not an act of shutting down, but an act of shifting priorities, moving from outward attention to inward maintenance, from external awareness to internal restoration. During sleep, different regions of the brain awaken for different reasons. Some stay active to monitor the environment, as though keeping a low flicker of lantern light burning in a dark room. Sound processing regions remain sensitive, even as you dream, ready to pull you awake if something unusual enters the quiet. Other regions, like those managing touch, temperature, and internal sensations, continue sending information to ensure the body remains safe. But most remarkable is the way the brain's deeper layers engage in work that waking life barely allows. They sort memories, organize emotional experiences, and rebuild neural pathways worn thin by the day's demands. This internal work requires concentration that is impossible while you are awake and dealing with the noise of the external world. As consciousness steps back, the brain becomes free to wander its own depths. Certain networks, such as the default mode network, the seat of introspection and imagination, light up more vividly during moments of dreaming than they do during most moments of wakefulness. Freed from the constant obligation to interpret the world outside, the brain turns its attention inward, diving into the vast reservoir of memories stored across its neural landscape. It begins replaying fragments of experience, testing new associations, and strengthening the connections that give shape to thoughts and feelings. This inward exploration is not random. It is guided by emotional weight. The brain tends to revisit experiences that still carry meaning, confusion, or unresolved tension, not in the way you consciously reflect on them, but in symbolic, non-linear forms that emerge during dreaming. This is one reason the sleeping brain feels so intensely awake. It is working through the emotional residue of the day. The amygdala, a region deeply tied to emotional processing, becomes highly active during REM sleep. When you dream, especially during the most vivid phases, your amygdala often glows with as much activity as it does during the most intense moments of waking life. It examines the feelings you carried into the night, an argument, a fear, a longing, an unspoken worry, and begins sorting them, weaving them into dream landscapes that help the mind metabolize emotional energy. Through this quiet, symbolic storytelling, the brain clears space for the next day's challenges. Even when the dream feels chaotic, there is purpose in the chaos. The brain uses the fluid logic of dreams to explore emotional scenarios in a space where nothing can harm you. The body is paralyzed during REM sleep, thanks to inhibitory signals sent through the spinal cord, creating a protective silence for the mind to run its simulations. These simulations are vivid, immersive, and emotional, but never physically dangerous. In this way, the SAND brain practices responses to challenges, rehearses possible futures, and softens the sharp edges of past experiences. It is awake in the deepest sense, engaged in internal work that strengthens your resilience, enhances creativity, and helps regulate your emotional landscape. Yet emotional sorting is only one piece of why the sleeping brain stays awake. Memory itself depends on this nocturnal activity. Throughout the day, the brain records countless fragments of information, sounds, images, conversations, small moments that slip into consciousness and pass quietly through it. These fragments crowd the hippocampus, the brain's temporary storage system. When sleep begins, the hippocampus works with the neocortex to replay and reorganize these moments, deciding which memories need to be strengthened and which can be gently released. This memory consolidation process is astonishingly complex, requiring synchronized waves of neural firing that can only occur during certain sleep stages. While the body rests, the brain is rearranging the architecture of your identity, stitching the past into the present with quiet precision. The brain also uses sleep to repair itself. Neurons accumulate metabolic waste throughout the day, small byproducts of constant electrical activity. During wakefulness, clearing this waste is difficult, like trying to clean a room while its lights are on. Its doors are opening and closing, and its inhabitants are constantly moving. But during sleep, a specialized system, the glymphatic system, flushes the brain with cerebrospinal fluid, washing away molecular debris that could otherwise accumulate and interfere with function. This nighttime cleansing is far more active than anything that happens during wakefulness. The brain stays awake inside, not in thought, but in maintenance, cleaning, repairing, rejuvenating itself so that consciousness can return sharp and clear in the morning. Even dreams themselves reflect the brain's wakeful activity. Electroencephalograms show that during REM sleep, the cortex, the outer layer responsible for thought, imagination, and perception, fires with the same intensity as it does when fully awake. Neurons communicate in bursts, sending waves of activation across sensory regions. The visual cortex creates imagery. The auditory cortex generates internal sounds. The emotional centers add color and feeling. Only the prefrontal cortex, the rational observer, remains quiet, allowing the dream to unfold without criticism or questioning. The brain is awake, but free of judgment, free of the boundaries that waking logic imposes. This combination, active imagery, active emotion, active memory processing, creates the illusion that dreams happen to you, but they do not. You create them. Your brain composes them from within, using the same structures that interpret reality during the day. The difference is that during sleep, the brain is no longer tied to the rules of physics, time, or the external world. It creates freely. It wanders without constraint. It explores possibilities it would never dare to explore while awake. And all of this activity requires a wakeful mind, one that burns quietly in the dark while the body lies peacefully still. Some parts of the brain remain especially alert to danger, even during the deepest sleep. The auditory system, though muted, stays receptive to abrupt changes, a sound that does not belong, a shift in the environment that might signal a threat. The brain carries ancient instincts from a time when falling asleep meant becoming vulnerable to predators. Even now, long after those threats have faded, the brain keeps a soft inner watch, always ready to lift consciousness back to the surface if needed. This vigilance, subtle and instinctive, is another form of wakefulness, a quiet awareness, beneath the heavier waves of sleep. In the end, the sleeping brain stays awake because it must. It must keep you alive, keep you emotionally balanced, keep your memory systems functioning, keep your neural pathways healthy. It must prepare you for the next day even while you lie motionless. Sleep is not the absence of wakefulness. It is a different kind of wakefulness, one turned inward rather than outward, one that listens to the inner world instead of the outer one. To sleep is to dream, to heal, to reorder, to repair. To sleep is to let the body rest, while the mind travels through its own glowing darkness, fully alive in ways you do not see but always feel when morning comes. 4. The REM stage, a theater of light and thunder. The REM stage of sleep is one of the most extraordinary states the human mind ever enters. It arrives quietly, almost stealthily, after the body has drifted through the deeper layers of non-REM sleep. At first, there is no sign, no sudden shift, no conscious awareness that something profound is about to happen. But within the brain, everything changes. Electrical patterns surge upward. Networks begin to flash with activity. Neurons fire in, bursts so vivid and energetic that if someone looked only at your brainwaves, they might believe you were wide awake, thinking deeply, imagining intensely, or watching the world with open eyes. And yet your body remains still, so still, in fact, that your muscles fall into their nightly paralysis, a soft, protective stillness that prevents your limbs from acting out the dreams your mind is about to create. This contrast, an active mind inside a silent body, is the essence of the REM stage, the internal theater in which dreams unfold with their brightest colors and most dramatic motion. When REM sleep begins, the eyes begin to dart behind the closed lids, tracing rapid, jittering movements from side to side. These movements do not follow the scenes of the dream in any simple or literal way, but they reflect the brain's shift into a world rich with mental imagery. During REM sleep, the mind becomes a projector, casting scenes not onto a screen, but into the internal darkness of consciousness. Visual centers in the brain awaken with intensity, painting landscapes, faces, colors, shadows, sometimes familiar, sometimes uncanny, sometimes entirely impossible. In the waking world, the brain receives its visual information from the eyes, but in REM, the brain creates those images from within, drawing from memory, imagination, and emotion. It acts as both artist and witness, creating worlds and then walking through them as if they were real. The pons, a small but powerful structure in the brainstem, plays a conductor's role in this inner theater. As REM begins, the pons sends signals upward, into the limbic system, the region that processes emotion, and into the thalamus, the gateway through which sensory information usually flows. But during dreaming, the thalamus is not receiving input from the outside world. Instead, it receives signals from the pons that ignite the cortex into vivid activation. This internal stimulation is what makes REM dreams feel so alive. The brain behaves as though it is perceiving the world, even though the sensory information is generated from within. The resulting imagery can feel rich, immersive, and convincing, even when the content does not follow the rules of waking logic. As these internal signals awaken the cortex, another set of signals moves downward, silencing the body. This mechanism, known as REM, atonia, shuts off the connection between the brain's motor commands and the muscles that carry them out. It is not a gentle relaxation, but a deliberate paralysis, one that keeps the dreamer safe from acting out their dreams. Without this system, the body might thrash, run, grasp, or leap as the brain sends commands in response to the dream's unfolding world. But in REM sleep, the spinal cord becomes unresponsive to these commands, creating a quiet cage for the body while the mind explores freely. This paralysis can sometimes be felt during sleep paralysis, a moment where consciousness returns before the body wakes. But during REM, it is a silent guardian that protects the dreamer from the dream. Emotion becomes heightened during REM sleep. The amygdala glows with intensity, infusing dreams with feelings that often far exceed those of waking life. Even the simplest dream scenes, you can feel saturated with emotion. A quiet field may feel overwhelmingly peaceful. A shadow may feel impossibly ominous. A conversation may feel deeply meaningful, even if the words are forgotten upon waking. Dreams are emotional worlds first, and rational worlds second. The brain's emotional centers fire freely in REM sleep, unrestrained by the prefrontal cortex, which normally moderates feelings with logic and judgment. This is why dreams can feel so powerful, so symbolic, so strangely honest about inner fears and desires. The REM stage is a place where feelings take shape in images, where the mind communicates with itself through metaphors rather than words. The prefrontal cortex, the seat of logic, planning, and self-awareness, becomes hushed in REM sleep. This silencing is one of the reasons dreams often lack continuity, shifting suddenly from place to place or idea to idea, without explanation. The dreamer rarely questions these abrupt changes, because the part of the brain that would normally raise such questions is dozing. This quieting of logic allows creativity to bloom, letting the mind conjure scenes and scenarios it would rarely entertain while awake. Creativity flourishes in REM sleep because the brain is freed from the need to make sense. It is permitted to roam without boundaries, to connect distant ideas, to imagine without restraint. This nighttime creativity is often the root of insights that emerge upon waking: a song lyric, a scientific idea, the solution to a problem that felt unsolvable the day before. Amid this storm of emotion and imagery, the brain continues its nightly work of memory processing. The hippocampus, which records new memories, communicates intensely with the neocortex during REM sleep. Instead of storing memories as exact replicas, the brain integrates them into broader networks of knowledge. It is during REM that the brain often finds patterns in the chaos of experience, making connections that shape understanding. The dreaming mind may replay fragments of the day, but rarely in literal form. Instead, it weaves, cleave them into the emotional and symbolic language of dreams, blending them with other memories, expectations, and desires. In this blending, new meanings emerge, helping the brain navigate challenges, rehearse possibilities, and prepare for the future. The REM stage also supports the regulation of stress, The brain reprocesses emotional experiences with the intensity lowered, like watching a storm from behind a protective window. Even frightening or unsettling dreams can help the mind soften the emotional charge of waking experiences. When the brain revisits a stressful memory during REM sleep, the intensity of the associated chemicals, particularly noradrenaline, is reduced. Over time, this can help reshape the emotional response to that memory, making it less overwhelming. This may be why dreams, even unpleasant ones, can leave you feeling lighter, relieved, or subtly strengthened the next day. As the REM stage progresses, the internal world becomes more dynamic. The brain cycles through bursts of high-frequency activity, each one fueling a new wave of imagery, emotion, and symbolic narrative. These bursts happen every 90 minutes or so throughout the night, with each REM cycle growing longer as morning approaches. Early in the night, REM periods may last only a few minutes, but by dawn, they can stretch nearly an hour. These later dreams are often the most vivid, the most elaborate, the most emotionally charged. They are also the ones most likely to be remembered upon waking, because the mind rises toward consciousness while still entangled in their imagery. Eventually, the REM cycle shifts. The brain's chemistry changes. Production of certain neurotransmitters increases. The body begins to stir. The paralysis fades gently, returning control to the limbs. If you happen to wake during this transition, you may carry fragments of the dream with you. Images, feelings, phrases, colors like traces of thunder fading across the sky after a storm. Other dreams sink into the depths of memory, forgotten but not lost, absorbed into the mind's subtle architecture. The REM stage is one of nature's great paradoxes, a period when the mind is wide awake within a sleeping body, creating vivid worlds that vanish with the light of morning. It is a nightly theater of light and thunder, where emotion becomes landscape, memory becomes story, and imagination becomes reality for a fleeting moment. In this deep and radiant state, the mind reconnects with its oldest instincts, its deepest fears, its quietest hopes. It repairs itself, not only through biology, but through symbols, sensations, and stories. REM sleep is the dreamer's window into the luminous, swirling depths of consciousness, an inner sky where the mind paints with lightning and shadows until dawn calls it back to waking life. 5. Dreams as memory's quiet gardeners. Dreams move through the mind like gentle caretakers, tending to memories with an attention that is both mysterious and precise. While the body lies still, the brain becomes a quiet garden, and memories, some fresh, some faded, some tangled, become the seeds and vines that must be nurtured, pruned, or gently rearranged. The dreaming mind does not simply replay the events of the day. Instead, it works with them as a gardener works with living things, giving them space, shaping them subtly, clearing the debris that no longer serves, and weaving them into the broader landscape of your inner world. Even though dreams may seem chaotic or whimsical on the surface, beneath that softness lies a profound system of memory care, a nightly ritual that keeps your mind organized, resilient, and ready to face the next sunrise. Memory is not a static thing. It does not sit in the mind like files in a cabinet, neatly labeled and stored away. Memories are living structures, dynamic, fluid, constantly being reshaped by new experiences and shifting emotions. When you learn something, meet someone, have a conversation, or feel a moment of joy or confusion, the brain creates a temporary memory trace. But this trace is fragile, like a small plant newly placed in the soil. It needs time, repeated attention, and the right environment to settle into the deeper layers of the mind. This is where dreams begin their subtle work. In the quiet darkness of sleep, especially during REM stages, The brain revisits these fragile traces, strengthening some, discarding others, and integrating the important ones into the broader networks of knowledge and identity. Much of this work happens through a process called memory consolidation. During the day, the hippocampus, a curved structure deep within the brain, records the details of your experiences, like a temporary container collecting the moments that touched you. But the hippocampus cannot store everything. It is more like a workshop than a library, and its job is to prepare memories for long-term storage in the neocortex. During sleep, especially during dreaming, the hippocampus repeatedly replays moments from the day in soft electrical pulses. These pulses stimulate the neocortex, encouraging it to weave these moments into the vast tapestry of older memories. In this way, dreams become a bridge between the present and the past, helping the brain decide what to keep and what to let fade. But dreams do more than store memories, they also reorganize them. The dreaming mind brings together fragments of experience that might seem unrelated while awake. A conversation from the morning might merge with a childhood memory. A place you visited years ago might blend with a feeling you felt only yesterday. These combinations are not random. They are the mind's way of exploring deeper connections, testing possibilities, and discovering new patterns. Dreams help the brain build meaning by allowing memories to interact in ways that waking logic does not permit. This is one reason people often wake with a new idea, a solution to a problem, or a clearer sense of what they feel. The dreaming mind has rearranged the pieces, showing them from a perspective the waking mind could not find. Emotional memories receive special attention in dreams. The amygdala, which governs emotional learning, becomes active during REM sleep, guiding the brain toward experiences that still carry a charge. These may be moments of joy or sorrow, fear or excitement, confusion or longing. In dreams, these memories are revisited, but their emotional intensity is softened. It is as if the brain is gently handling them, examining them from a safe distance, allowing you to feel without being overwhelmed. This emotional processing is essential for mental health. Without it, painful memories remain sharp and intrusive. With it, the sharp edges dull, and the mind finds ways to move forward. Dreams help turn emotional chaos into emotional understanding, not through deliberate reasoning, but through symbolic and sensory exploration. Some scientists believe that dreams serve as a rehearsal space, where the mind simulates future experiences by drawing on past ones. This rehearsal is subtle. It rarely appears in literal form. You may not dream about the exact conversation you need to have tomorrow, but you may dream about themes related to it: conflict, vulnerability, courage, uncertainty. The mind builds emotional readiness through metaphors, preparing you for tomorrow by tending to what happened today. In this way, dreams are a bridge between past and future, linking what you know with what you will face. They help refine instincts, regulate emotions, and strengthen the mental pathways you will need when challenges arise. Dreams also act as a kind of gentle pruning system. The brain cannot keep every piece of information it encounters. Much of what happens in a day, trivial conversations, random details, stray impressions, does not need to be stored permanently. During sleep, the brain examines these temporary traces and decides which to keep and which to release. The ones that hold meaning, relevance, or emotional weight are preserved. The others are allowed to fade. This pruning is essential for clarity. If the brain kept everything, the mind would become cluttered, overwhelmed by unnecessary detail. Instead, dreams help maintain mental order by clearing away the noise, allowing the important signals to stand out more clearly. The symbolic, strange, sometimes surreal nature of dreams reflects this deep work. When the brain is sorting through memories, it does not do so in words or logical steps. It does so through imagery, emotion, and association. A dream may show you a place you have never been, shaped partly from memory and partly from imagination. Because the brain is using visual metaphors to represent concepts it is processing, a dream may place an old friend beside a stranger, because both people evoke similar emotions or represent similar roles in your life. A dream may distort time or space, because memories themselves are not organized chronologically, but emotionally. In this symbolic language, the brain expresses the structure of memory not as a timeline, but as a web of meaning. Over time, the work of dreams becomes part of who you are. The memories you hold dear, the ones that guide your decisions, the ones that shape your personality, are all tended by the gentle rhythms of sleep. Even memories you cannot consciously recall may influence you because they were integrated into the deeper layers of the mind during dreaming. This is why dreams can feel so personal, so intimate, even when they are confusing. They arise from the parts of you that are usually hidden, the memories you carry, the emotions you have not yet fully understood, the quiet learning that continues even when you are not awake. As morning approaches, the final cycles of REM sleep become longer and more intense. During these moments, the brain may engage in its most creative and integrative work. Dreams become richer, more emotional, sometimes more coherent. The mind is preparing to awaken, and in doing so, it gathers the final threads of memory, tying them gently into place. Some dreams rise to the surface of consciousness, leaving you with a feeling, a symbol, a faint story. Others remain buried, but their work is done. Their gentle tending has shaped your emotional landscape, clarified your thoughts, and prepared you to face the coming day. Dreams are memory's quiet gardeners, not loud, not forceful, not obvious. They work softly, moving beneath conscious awareness, nurturing what matters and releasing what does not. They help stitch the past into the present and prepare the present for the future. They transform experience into understanding, emotion into resilience, and scattered moments into the steady continuity of your life. In the stillness of sleep, the mind tends its inner garden, shaping you with every drifting image and whispered emotion, until the light of morning calls you gently back to waking life. 6. The mind's nighttime simulations. When the world around you grows dark and your body settles into the soft stillness of sleep, the mind begins a secret kind of work that cannot easily unfold in daylight. Freed from the obligations of waking life, it turns inward, activating ancient circuits that have existed since long before humans walked the earth. These circuits allow the mind to simulate possibilities, rehearse dangers, explore choices, and test reactions in a realm where no physical risk exists. Dreams become the stage for these simulations, a vast internal theater where the brain generates scenarios, both ordinary and extraordinary, to prepare you for the unpredictable nature of the waking world. The dramas that unfold at night may seem strange or symbolic, but beneath their shifting landscapes lies an elegant biological purpose, the rehearsal of life itself. When you drift into REM sleep and the brain awakens inside its paralyzed body, it begins generating narratives that feel spontaneous, but are deeply tied to instinct and survival. Long before humans built cities, invented language, or imagined complex futures, early mammals needed ways to anticipate threats. A creature that could mentally rehearse the experience of escaping a predator without being eaten had a significant advantage. Over time, this ability became woven into sleep. Even now, in dreams, you may find yourself running, hiding, searching, solving, or navigating emotional or physical challenges. These moments feel dramatic, not because dreams aim to entertain, but because the mind is quietly testing your responses. strengthening neural pathways associated with caution, courage, and adaptability. The brain does not choose dream scenarios deliberately. Instead, it selects elements based on emotional relevance, memory fragments, and unresolved concerns. A conversation that left you uneasy, a feeling you pushed aside, a worry that flickered through your thoughts all may reappear in dreams transformed into symbolic challenges. The mind takes the emotional content of waking life and places it in a safe but vivid simulation. This allows you to practice responses without fear of real consequences. It is why dreams often feel charged with meaning, even when the details seem nonsensical. The symbolic landscape is merely the container. The core of the dream is the emotional rehearsal happening beneath it. These simulations extend beyond danger. The mind also uses dreams to rehearse social interactions, problem solving, creativity, and emotional regulation. You might dream of speaking to someone you haven't seen in years, resolving a conflict you never addressed aloud, or navigating a situation that mirrors a real concern. These scenarios allow the brain to explore possible outcomes and relieve emotional tension. It is as though the mind is quietly preparing you for conversations, decisions, or challenges you have not yet faced. Dreams often highlight unspoken feelings or unresolved thoughts, giving them space to move and shift, revealing options the waking mind may not see. Creativity flourishes in these simulations because logic is softened. Without the firm boundaries of waking consciousness, the brain moves freely through landscapes of imagination. It can combine ideas, memories, and emotions in ways that feel impossible during the day. This free-form mental play is not purposeless. It strengthens neural pathways associated with creative thinking, helping the mind learn to approach problems from multiple angles. Many breakthroughs in history have emerged from dreams, the quiet fruit of these nighttime simulations, because the brain rehearses possibilities that the conscious mind would not dare explore. In sleep, the mind is both more daring and more flexible, able to slip from one idea to another without hesitation. Even the surreal nature of dreams serves a purpose. When the brain mixes unrelated memories, distorts space or time, or transforms ordinary objects into symbolic ones, it is not simply being whimsical. These distortions allow memories to break free from rigid structures. The mind loosens their edges, allowing them to blend with new experiences and become more versatile. This flexibility is essential for adaptation. A memory that remains too rigid cannot be used creatively. A memory that becomes too fluid loses meaning. Dreams maintain the balance by letting memories merge just enough to foster new insights, while still preserving the core of what matters. Many dreams simulate problem-solving in subtle ways. You may dream of searching for something, finding your way through a maze-like environment, or trying to reach a destination that keeps shifting. These experiences mimic the structure of challenges you face when awake. They activate neural networks involved in navigation, decision-making, and planning. Even if the dream's story seems nonsensical, the underlying cognitive rehearsal strengthens your ability to respond flexibly to unexpected events. The mind learns to move through uncertainty, to adapt its strategies, to cope with changing conditions, all within the safety of sleep. Some dreams go further, exploring emotions that waking life keeps tightly controlled. A dream may allow anger, sadness, desire, or fear surface in symbolic form, giving the mind a space to simulate emotional experiences without risking relationships or personal stability. In dreams, you can express feelings, confront memories, or explore desires that you may never voice aloud. These emotional simulations help regulate your internal world, preventing suppressed emotions from building into pressure that could overwhelm you. In this way, dreams function like a quiet emotional safety valve, releasing tension in forms that are metaphorical rather than literal. The dream simulations also extend into the realm of identity. In dreams, you might find yourself taking on roles you do not play in waking life: leader, explorer, defender, wanderer. These alternate identities allow the mind to test aspects of the self that remain dormant during the day. They offer insight into hidden strengths, unacknowledged uncertainties, or unexplored facets of your personality. Some dreams place you in positions of vulnerability, others in positions of power. These shifts can reveal the emotional architecture of your inner world, your fears, your hopes, your potential, by allowing you to inhabit them directly. The mind's simulations are not always easy or pleasant. Nightmares, too, have purpose. They arise when the mind grapples with threats, anxieties, or traumas that require deeper processing. Though frightening, nightmares can help desensitize the emotional centers of the brain by exposing them to fear in a controlled environment. Over time, this reduces the power of those fears during the day. The brain practices feeling fear without danger, allowing you to respond more calmly when challenges arise in real life. Even the darkest dreams carry within them an instinctive function: to prepare and to protect. Simulations in dreams are not limited to human concerns. Animals also show signs of dreamlike rehearsals. Dogs twitch their paws as if running. Birds make tiny wing movements, and rats replay maze paths in their brains while asleep. These behaviors suggest that the drive to simulate experiences is ancient, a natural part of how living beings learn, adapt, and prepare. The dream world may be uniquely vivid for humans, but its roots are deep in the evolutionary past, shaped by millions of years of survival. In all these simulations, whether emotional, creative, social, instinctive, the dreaming mind acts with a wisdom that transcends conscious decision-making. It gathers the scattered pieces of experience, blends them with memory, tests possible futures, and restores emotional equilibrium. It creates rooms in which you can practice being yourself, and rooms where you can practice being someone new. It imagines dangers without letting you be harmed, and imagines hopes without demanding that they come true. It prepares the heart for loss, the mind for change, and the spirit for uncertainty, all within the quiet safety of sleep. As morning approaches and the final dream cycles unfold, the simulations gradually lose their grip. The mind begins to withdraw from its inward world, returning to the sensory clarity of waking life. But the effects of the dreams linger, even if the scenes themselves dissolve. A small clarity, a softened emotion, a new idea. These are the subtle traces left by the mind's nighttime rehearsals. They guide you without your knowing, shaping the way you respond, the way you feel, the way you understand yourself and the world. Dreams are the silent simulations of the human mind, gentle rehearsals for living. In the darkness behind your closed eyes, the brain continues its ancient work, preparing you for the vast and unpredictable world you will wake into once more. 7. Why we forget most dreams. The forgetting of dreams is one of the quietest mysteries of the human mind. Each night, entire worlds rise and fall. Within you, places filled with motion, color, sound, and emotion. Yet by morning, most of them dissolve like mist at sunrise. They slip from consciousness with such delicacy that you may not even realize anything has disappeared. Sometimes you awaken with only a faint feeling, a fleeting image, vague impression of something significant just beyond reach. Other times you awaken convinced you did not dream at all, unaware that the brain spent hours weaving stories in the dark. Forgetting dreams is not a flaw or a failure of memory. It is part of sleep's design, rooted deeply in the biology of consciousness the chemistry of the brain, and the purpose dreams serve in your inner world. To understand why dreams vanish, it helps to begin with the brain's state during REM sleep. Although REM is marked by high neural activity, this activity differs from wakefulness in one profound way. The prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for logical reasoning, self-reflection, and especially memory consolidation, becomes far less active. This quieting of the prefrontal cortex creates a paradox. The emotional centers and sensory regions of the brain flare brightly, generating vivid scenes and strong feelings. But the structure responsible for capturing memories remains dim. The dream, no matter how intense, has a diminished path to reach the brain's long-term storage. It is like watching a play while the part of you that remembers is gently sleeping in the background. This reduction in memory consolidation is partly due to neurotransmitter changes. During REM sleep, levels of norepinephrine, the chemical that supports alertness and memory formation, drop to their lowest levels of the entire day. Serotonin, another key neurotransmitter involved in memory, also falls. Without these neurochemical supports, the brain can create dreams, but it cannot easily store them. The dream state is rich with imagery and emotion, but lacks the molecular scaffolding required for durable memory. This chemical silence is one of the main reasons dreams fade as soon as you wake. Yet the forgetting of dreams is not only a biological consequence, it may also be an evolutionary advantage. If the mind remembered every dream with the same clarity as waking experience, the boundary between the real and the imagined would blur. The brain processes dreams using the same sensory regions it uses to interpret waking life. If dream memories were captured too vividly, they could interfere with your sense of what actually happened. By forgetting dreams, the mind preserves the integrity of waking consciousness. It allows the dream world to exist without tangling itself with the world you navigate each day. Memory itself depends on stability. During REM sleep, the brain is engaged in emotional processing, memory reorganization, and neural rebalancing. Storing the dream content in vivid detail might disrupt these delicate operations. Dreams often combine fragments of many different memories, faces, places, sounds, emotions, into surreal or symbolic forms. These combinations are meaningful to the emotional brain, but chaotic to the conscious one. Forgetting the literal structure of the dream allows the underlying emotional work to be preserved. Without overwhelming the waking mind with confusion, what remains is the emotional residue, the softened feeling, the shifted perspective rather than the dream's storyline. It is important to recognize that forgetting dreams does not mean they are lost. The brain still uses them. Even when the dream fades, its influence remains. The emotional processing, the resolution of tension, the quiet rehearsal of scenarios, these effects linger in subtle ways. You may wake calmer after a difficult day, clearer after a confusing one, lighter after a heavy one. You may not remember the dream that brought you this change, but the change exists just the same. In this way, dreams accomplish their purpose even without conscious recall. Their forgetting is not an erasure, but a gentle closing of a door once the work inside is done. Some dreams are remembered because you wake during or immediately after them. Dream memory is fragile, like fine sand that begins slipping away the moment consciousness returns. If you awaken abruptly from REM sleep, the dream may still be fresh enough for the prefrontal cortex to catch it, at least for a moment. But even these dreams fade quickly unless you rehearse them, reflect on them, or speak them aloud. Without deliberate effort, the memory dissolves within minutes. This is why dreams often leave only their faintest echo, a feeling rather than a narrative, an impression rather than a story. Emotion plays a role in what gets remembered. Highly emotional dreams, those filled with fear, joy, longing, or grief activate the amygdala more strongly. This emotional charge can sometimes carry the dream fragment into waking consciousness. Yet, even emotionally intense dreams can fade if the transition between dreaming and waking is gentle. The mind simply does not prioritize storing dream details unless they intersect with a waking need. In this sense, remembering a dream often reflects the brain's assessment that the dream contains something relevant, urgent, or unresolved. The strangeness of dreams also contributes to forgetting. Dreams often lack the logical structure that makes memories easier to store. They jump between scenes, distort time, rearrange physical laws, and merge characters or places unexpectedly. Memory thrives on coherence, sequence, and repetition qualities that dreams rarely possess. Without these anchors, the brain struggles to weave dream content into its long-term networks. The dream becomes like a story with missing pages, unclear characters, shifting settings, a story that evaporates because the mind cannot grasp its framework. There is also the matter of attention. Memory is shaped by what you pay attention to, and in dreams, attention is fluid and unstable. Your awareness drifts from moment to moment, without the firm sense of self that keeps experiences organized during waking life. Without stable attention, the mind does not tag events as significant or worth recalling. Even dramatic dream events can pass without the anchoring that memory requires. The dream may feel intense while it happens, but if the dreaming self is unfocused, the waking self will have no trace to hold on to. Still, some people remember dreams more easily than others, and this difference reveals something important. Those who naturally awaken during REM cycles, or who have lighter sleep, often capture more dreams because their consciousness rises more frequently at moments when the dream is still active. Those with more active prefrontal cortex patterns during sleep may also remember more. And some people build the habit of dream recall simply by paying attention, keeping a journal, waking more gently, or lingering in the transition between sleep and wakefulness. The boundary can be softened with practice, allowing memories to slip through more easily. The quiet truth behind dream forgetting is that the mind is protecting itself. It allows the dream world to serve its purpose without overwhelming the waking one. The forgetting is gentle, almost tender, a release rather than a loss. Dreams work behind the scenes, untangling emotional knots, weaving connections, resolving tensions, and preparing you for the day. And once their work is done, they fade like breath on a window, leaving behind only the clarity they cultivated. In forgetting dreams, the mind preserves the balance between the worlds you inhabit. The inner world of night remains fluid, symbolic, and mysterious, while the outer world of day remains stable and navigable. The forgetting is the veil that separates these realms, soft and necessary. Behind that veil, dreams continue their quiet labor, shaping you in ways you feel but cannot always name, disappearing so that you may awaken to a clearer, steadier self. 8. The science of lucidity. Lucid dreaming is one of the mind's most delicate and enchanting states, a quiet moment when the dreamer becomes aware that they are dreaming, yet continues to drift inside the dream's unfolding world. It is a soft awakening within sleep, gentle flicker of consciousness glowing at the center of the dream landscape. In this luminous state, the mind stands with one foot in imagination and the other in awareness. It sees the dream for what it is, a creation of the self, yet does not break the spell or return fully to the waking world. Lucidity is not simply control, though control may arise. It is not merely awareness, though awareness is its heart. It is the rare moment when the dreaming mind turns to face itself, recognizing its own craftsmanship as it continues to weave worlds from memory, emotion, and light. To understand lucidity, one must first understand the unusual balance of brain activity that gives rise to it. During ordinary dreams, the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for self-reflection, logic, and decision-making, rests quietly. This silence allows dreams to flow freely without the constraints of critical thought. But in a lucid dream, something remarkable happens. The prefrontal cortex flickers back to life, not fully, but enough to create a gentle spark of self-awareness. This partial activation allows the dreamer to recognize the dream without interrupting the deeper mechanisms that sustain it. The emotional and sensory regions of the brain remain active, generating vivid imagery and intense feelings, while the reflective regions awaken just enough to notice the illusion without breaking it. Lucidity often begins as a strange sensation, a subtle shift almost, like noticing a reflection out of the corner of your eye. You may feel suddenly lighter, more aware, more present inside the dream. Sometimes it begins with something impossible, a light switch that fails to work, a clock whose numbers melt and rearrange, a familiar place that looks different in the way you can't explain. The dreaming mind, freed from logic, accepts these impossibilities without question. But when lucidity emerges, the mind pauses. It senses the inconsistency. It realizes the world around it is not bound by waking rules. The dreamer becomes both participant and observer, walking through the scene while also watching it from within. There are many gateways into lucidity. Some arrive spontaneously, emerging from the drifting textures of the dream. Others are triggered by emotional intensity, fear, wonder, joy. Moments so strong they shake the dreamer into awareness. Sometimes lucidity arises from a memory, a fleeting realization that you were just lying in bed moments ago, or that the events unfolding in the dream could not possibly be real. And occasionally, lucidity is triggered by the dreamer's own intention. People who practice recalling dreams, observing their inner world, or questioning reality during the day are more likely to awaken within dreams at night. The boundary between waking and dreaming becomes softer, more porous, allowing awareness to slip across more easily. When lucidity deepens, the dream becomes more vivid. Colors brighten, sounds sharpen, emotions amplify. The dreamer may feel a sense of flying or floating, not always in movement but in presence, a feeling of being acutely awake inside a world made of thought. Some dreamers learn to guide the dream gently, shaping the experience without forcing it. They may move through walls, soar through skies, ask questions of dream figures, or simply observe the landscape with profound curiosity. Others choose not to change anything at all. They rest inside the dream, savoring the quiet clarity of being aware in a world that is both entirely real and entirely imaginary. These abilities arise because the brain retains its dreaming flexibility while regaining fragments of waking control. The motor cortex remains inhibited, keeping the body still, but the imagination becomes more responsive to intention. Thought turns into environment. Desire becomes movement. Attention becomes form. If you focus on flying, the dream may lift you. If you focus on a place, the dream may carry you there. If you ask a question, a figure may answer with surprising depth or absurdity. This responsiveness is not magic. It is the brain reshaping its own simulation in real time, guided by the dreamer's awareness. Lucidity also reveals something profound about consciousness, that awareness is not a single state, but a spectrum. In waking life, we assume we are either conscious or asleep, but lucid dreams show that the mind can be awake within sleep, aware within imagination, reflective within illusion. This intermediary state suggests that consciousness is far more fluid than we typically believe, capable of moving through layers of awareness with grace and subtlety. It hints at the mind's potential to observe itself, to question itself, even while immersed in the depths of the unconscious. Yet lucidity is not always an escape into fantasy. It can also be a tool for understanding. Some dreamers use lucidity to face fears in a safe space, allowing them to confront shadows that feel overwhelming in waking life. Others use it to explore creativity, imagining new worlds, new stories, new ideas. Some use it to reflect on the self, engaging in inner conversations with dream figures who embody different aspects of their personality. A lucid dream can be a meeting place between the conscious mind and the deeper layers of the psyche, a space where insight emerges through metaphor, symbol, and emotion. The emotional centers of the brain remain active during lucidity, allowing the dreamer to feel deeply, yet with a clarity not always present in waking life. This emotional richness can make lucid dreams profoundly moving. A simple moment, a breeze, a view, a conversation can feel luminous, almost sacred. Some dreamers wake with tears, not from sadness but from the beauty or truth they encountered. The dream becomes a mirror held up to the soul, reflecting something that could not easily be seen during the day. Still, lucidity can be fragile. The dreamer may become too aware, too excited, too eager to control the scene, and the balance breaks. The prefrontal cortex awakens too much, ending the dream abruptly. Or the body senses the shift and begins to stir, or the dream simply dissolves into darkness. Lucidity is like holding a candle in a breeze, bright for a moment, then gone. But even its fleeting nature adds to its wonder, reminding the dreamer of the delicate boundary between worlds. There are those who practice becoming lucid intentionally, training the mind to notice the difference between waking and dreaming. Techniques like reality checks, dream journaling, and mindful awareness can make lucidity more common. But not everyone needs practice. Some people naturally drift into lucidity, especially during emotionally charged dreams or moments of heightened introspection. Children experience lucid dreams more often than adults, perhaps because their minds still move fluidly between imagination and reality. As we age, the boundary becomes thicker, but lucidity remains possible, a reminder that the mind never fully forgets how to dream with awareness. Lucid dreaming also highlights the incredible plasticity of the brain. It shows that the mind is capable of creating worlds so immersive that they can momentarily replace reality, yet capable also of stepping back to observe its own creation. This dual awareness, the dreamer and the narrator, reveals something extraordinary about consciousness, that it can split, merge, expand, and contract without breaking. The mind can be both actor and witness, both subject and observer. Lucidity shows that the self is not fixed, but fluid, capable of inhabiting layers of experience that stretch beyond the limits of ordinary waking thought. As dawn approaches, the lucidity often fades, the dream softens, the clarity dims, the logic unravels. The dreamer drifts into another dream or into the gentle tide of waking. And yet the memory of lucidity, when it lingers, can feel like a small treasure, an encounter with one's own mind in its most creative and unbound form. It is a reminder that the dream world is not something that simply happens to you, but something you participate in, shape, and inhabit. Lucid dreams are windows into the architecture of consciousness. They show the mind watching itself, dream, aware and unafraid, curious and alive. They reveal a space where imagination and awareness meet in delicate harmony, shaping experiences that feel both deeply personal and quietly profound. And though lucidity may last only a moment, that moment shines brightly, an inner lantern glowing in the vast and shifting darkness of sleep. 9. Dreams as emotional balancers. Dreams drift through the mind like soft tides, carrying with them the emotional fragments of waking life. They gather the leftover feelings, the quiet stresses, the unnamed longings, and the subtle tensions that settle into the corners of the psyche throughout the day. Once we fall asleep, these emotional fragments loosen and rise, swirling through the landscapes of dreams where they can be examined, softened, transformed, or gently released. Dreams do not erase emotion, but they rebalance it. They bring the emotional system back to equilibrium with a sensitivity that waking thought cannot easily achieve. In this way, dreams serve as one of the mind's oldest and most essential healing rhythms, an overnight recalibration of the heart. While awake, we experience countless emotions, many of which we do not have the time or clarity to fully process. A passing frustration, a quiet disappointment, a fear too small to name, a joy too fleeting to savor. These emotional impressions accumulate in subtle ways. The waking mind often pushes them aside in order to continue functioning. We smile when we must, focus when required, and push forward even when feelings tug at us from beneath the surface. But in sleep, the defenses soften, the inner gates open. Emotions that could not find expression during the day slip into the dreamscape, woven into symbolic scenes where they can unfold without judgment. Within this symbolic space, the amygdala, the brain's emotional guardian, awakens with particular intensity during REM sleep. It highlights experiences that still carry emotional weight and invites them into the dream's narrative. The brain does not replay emotional moments, literally. Instead, presents them through metaphor. A sense of rejection might appear as being left behind in a shifting landscape. An unresolved conflict might manifest as a dream conversation with a stranger wearing a familiar expression. A hope you dared not voice may rise as a glowing horizon or a warm, comforting presence. Through these symbols, the dreaming mind gives emotions a form and a voice, allowing them to be acknowledged in ways waking thought often cannot. This emotional processing is supported by a unique neurochemical environment. During REM sleep, levels of noradrenaline, a stress-related neurotransmitter, drop to nearly zero. In waking life, noradrenaline heightens the response to stress and sharpens the emotional charge of certain memories. But in dreams, its absence creates a safe space where emotionally painful experiences can be revisited without triggering the full physical stress response. You can dream of something frightening, but your body does not produce the same surge of adrenaline it would while awake. The experience becomes emotionally meaningful, but not overwhelming, allowing the mind to examine it gently, to soften its edges. Some scientists describe this process as overnight therapy, an internal form of emotional regulation that helps restore balance. When we face something difficult during the day, the mind often carries the emotional imprint into the night. In dreams, the emotional memory is reactivated, but the chemical environment ensures it is processed with less intensity. Over repeated nights, the emotional charge diminishes, and the memory becomes easier to hold. This is why people often feel calmer or clearer after dreaming about something distressing. The dream has not erased the experience, but it has softened the emotional weight attached to it. Dreams also allow us to explore unresolved relationships. You may dream of someone from your past, a friend, a family member, a partner, someone you have not spoken to in years. These dream encounters often carry emotional significance. They give the mind space to process lingering feelings, to rehearse conversations that never occurred, or to revisit emotions that still echo quietly through the heart. In these dream encounters, the mind simulates emotional resolution. The conversation you could not have in waking life may unfold symbolically at night, offering a sense of closure or understanding. Similarly, dreams can help prepare the mind for future emotional challenges. You may dream of events that have not yet happened, meetings, decisions, changes, or confrontations in symbolic form. In these dreams, the mind tests emotional responses, explores possible outcomes, and prepares you psychologically for what might come. This emotional rehearsal makes you more resilient during waking life. You may not remember the dream, but you feel the steadiness it provided. The mind has quietly rehearsed the emotional landscape ahead, smoothing the path with its delicate nighttime work. Dreams also express emotions we cannot name. Sometimes, a dream leaves you with a feeling that does not match its imagery. Sadness from a dream where nothing sad occurred. Joy from a dream where nothing joyful happened. Longing from a dream without clear desire. This mismatch reveals something profound. The imagery of dreams is not the message, the emotion is. Dreams use imagery to surface feelings that waking thought has not yet brought into focus. These emotions rise gently, like mist from the surface of a lake, offering hints of deeper currents beneath the everyday mind. Nightmares, too, serve an emotional purpose. Though they can be frightening, they often arise from the deepest layers of emotional imbalance, fear, trauma, stress, or unresolved grief. A nightmare can feel like a storm, but storms bring renewal. They shake loose the emotional debris that has gathered in the subconscious. They confront the dreamer with powerful feelings that need attention. And even though nightmares can jolt the dreamer awake, they can also begin the process of healing. Repeated nightmares about a particular fear often reflect the mind's attempt to process and prepare for that fear. Each dream is a rehearsal, a symbolic confrontation, a step toward emotional integration. The emotional clarity that comes from dreaming is often subtle. You may wake with a sense of peace you cannot explain, or a quiet sadness that feels ancient and tender. You may wake with the feeling of having let something go, or having remembered something important, even if the dream itself has faded. These lingering moods are the echoes of emotional work done quietly in the night. The dream has shifted something inside, a weight lifted, a knot loosened, a feeling acknowledged. The dreaming mind also helps maintain emotional balance by creating symbolic experiences that mirror your inner state. If you are feeling overwhelmed, you might dream of waves rising too high, or of running through labyrinths. If you are yearning for connection, you may dream of searching for someone or finding a warm presence. If you are feeling isolated, the dream may show vast landscapes or dimly lit rooms. These symbolic images help you sense your emotions more clearly, offering a reflection of feelings that may have been hidden beneath layers of daily noise. Children experience this emotional balancing with even greater intensity. Their dreams are often vivid and deeply symbolic because their emotional systems are still learning to regulate themselves. Dreams help the developing brain understand fear, express joy, and process new experiences. This same emotional balancing continues throughout adulthood, though in subtler ways. The dreaming mind remains a constant companion, guiding emotional development long after childhood ends. As morning approaches and the dreaming mind begins to fade, its emotional work settles quietly into the subconscious. You wake not with a memory of every dream, but with the feeling of having been carried through a landscape shaped from the contours of your inner life. This feeling may influence your mood, your clarity, your sense of ease, or your perspective on a situation. You may not fully understand how your dreams have supported you, but you feel the shift in the lightness of your thoughts, in the softness of your emotions, in the steadiness of your breath. Dreams, in their gentle and mysterious way, are emotional balancers. They take the tangled threads of feeling and weave them into patterns that mind can understand, even if the dreamer cannot consciously recall them. They offer comfort, challenge, release, and integration, all through the symbolic language of night. In this quiet work, the dream returns the emotional world to harmony, preparing you to meet the day with a steadier heart and a clearer mind. 10. When dreams become nightmares. Nightmares rise from the same depths of the mind as all other dreams, yet they carry a different kind of electricity. sharper, darker, more urgent. Where ordinary dreams flow like gentle currents, nightmares surge like storms. They take shape from fear, memory, and emotion, creating scenes that unsettle the heart and jolt the dreamer from sleep. But even though nightmares feel hostile, they are not the mind's enemies. They are signals, reflections, and warnings shaped into story. They are the mind's way of confronting what waking life leaves unresolved. In their own intense and unsettling way, nightmares are part of the brain's attempt to protect and heal, not harm. To understand nightmares, one must begin with fear itself. Fear is an ancient emotion, older than language, older than thought. It is the body's instinctive response to anything that feels threatening, and it plays a critical role in survival. During waking life, fear heightens awareness, sharpens instincts, and prepares the body for action. But when the body sleeps, fear must be processed in a different way. The physical world is no longer present. The muscles are paralyzed by REM atonia. The eyes are closed. The senses are muted. Yet the emotional circuits of the brain continue to operate. The amygdala, in particular, remains intensely active during REM sleep. And since REM is the birthplace of the most vivid dreams, fear often finds its way into the dream world. Without an external threat to latch onto, the brain creates internal symbols, shadows, chases, falls, dangers that become nightmares. These symbolic threats are not random. They often reflect deeper emotions, ones that may be too subtle, too complex, or too overwhelming to address directly in waking life. A nightmare about being chased may represent a problem you're avoiding. A nightmare about falling may reflect a loss of control. A nightmare about being lost may arise from uncertainty or change. The brain translates emotional experiences into metaphors, and nightmares are the most intense form of this translation. They sharpen emotional content until the dreamer cannot ignore it. In this way, nightmares act as powerful indicators of internal imbalance, bringing the most urgent psychological material to the surface. Nightmares often intensify during times of stress, when the mind is burdened, carrying too much weight or moving through significant change. The dreaming brain works harder to process emotional residue. Sometimes the emotional load is too great to weave into a gentle dream, and the mind resorts to a louder, more dramatic approach. The dream becomes a storm, forcing the dreamer to face feelings that have been building quietly beneath the surface. Though unpleasant, this intensity is part of the emotional recalibration that sleep offers. After a nightmare, many people wake with a sense of release, as though something inside has been shaken loose. The neurochemistry of nightmares adds another layer of understanding. During REM sleep, when nightmares occur most frequently, norepinephrine levels remain extremely low. This chemical silence allows the brain to explore emotional memories without triggering a full physiological stress response. But in certain conditions, high stress, trauma, or disrupted sleep cycles, the suppression of norepinephrine becomes inconsistent. The brain revisits emotional memories with a sharper edge, blending raw emotional signals with the symbolic language of dreams. The result is a nightmare, a dream in which emotion is too intense, too jagged, to be smoothed by REM's usual gentleness. Trauma-related nightmares reveal this most clearly. When the mind experiences something deeply distressing, the emotional centers of the brain may struggle to process the memory. The dream attempts to revisit it, to reshape it, to release its weight, but the emotional charge is too strong. The nightmare then repeats, sometimes literally, sometimes symbolically, because the memory has not yet integrated into the deeper structure of the mind. The repetition is not punishment, but persistence. The brain is attempting, night after night, to heal what waking life cannot heal alone. Yet not all nightmares are rooted in trauma. Some arise from cognitive patterns overthinking, self-criticism, or rumination. Some arise from physical states, fever, irregular sleep, or disrupted circadian rhythm. Some appear simply because the brain is experimenting with emotional scenarios, testing your resilience in imaginary situations, so that you may be stronger when real challenges arise. Even nightmares that feel random often contain threads of emotional truth woven into their imagery. There is a unique quality to nightmares, their ability to wake the dreamer. This awakening is part of their purpose. When a dream becomes too intense, too emotionally charged, the mind lifts itself into consciousness to break the cycle. The dreamer awakens with a pounding heart, rapid breath, and disorientation. Yet this awakening is a protective act. It allows the mind to reset, to break away from the emotional storm and return to safety. Some nightmares end before the danger reaches its peak, because the mind anticipates the fear and interrupts itself, signaling that the emotional work has reached its threshold for the night. Children experience nightmares more frequently than adults because their emotional systems are still developing. Their brains are learning how to manage fear, how to process confusion, how to separate imagination from reality. Nightmares for children are often reflections of developmental growth, new experiences, shifting boundaries, expanding capacities. While adults fear abstract threats, children fear the unknown, the unexplainable, the things they cannot yet categorize. Nightmares help them navigate the expanding world, even when they feel terrifying in the moment. Nightmares also illuminate the vulnerability that exists within all people. They show the fears that linger under the surface: fear of loss, fear of danger, fear of failure, fear of being seen, fear of being forgotten. These fears do not emerge to torment you. They emerge to be understood. In the quiet of sleep, when the outer world disappears, the inner world takes the shape of a dream, and nightmares become its sharpest expressions. They are the messages that cannot be softened, the emotions that cannot be whispered. They demand awareness. Yet despite their intensity, nightmares also carry the seeds of empowerment. Many people who experience recurrent nightmares eventually develop a form of dream awareness, a moment where they begin to recognize the pattern, even if they do not become fully lucid. This recognition can soften the fear, giving the dreamer the ability to face the nightmare with a sense of agency. Over time, the nightmare may shift, becoming less frightening, less vivid, less overpowering. The dream has done its work. The fear has been acknowledged. The mind has integrated the emotional content. In rare cases, nightmare lucidity emerges a moment when the dreamer realizes they are dreaming while still inside the nightmare. This awareness can transform terror into curiosity. The dream confrontation becomes a dialogue, a turning point, a release. Many people report that once they confront the figure or force within the nightmare, the dream dissolves or transforms into something peaceful. The mind responds to courage, even in sleep. Nightmares are not the opposite of dreams. They are a form of dream with a sharper purpose. Where ordinary dreams soothe and balance, nightmares disrupt and to reveal. They show the places where fear still lives. They highlight the experiences that need healing. They trace the contours of emotional wounds the waking mind has not yet faced. They are the urgent side of dreaming, the voice that speaks when the quieter voice goes unheard. When the nightmare ends and the mind drifts back toward wakefulness, a strange calm often follows. The storm passes. The emotional charge begins to settle. The heart slows. The breath deepens. And though the dream may linger as an unsettling memory, it has also released something. It has done the work it came to do. Nightmares are the dark gardeners of the psyche, tending to fears in their own intense way. They challenge, confront, and sometimes frighten, but always with purpose. In the darkness of sleep, they rise as storms, yet they leave behind the clarity of a sky that has been emptied of its heaviest clouds. 11. Sleep paralysis and the borderlands of consciousness. Sleep paralysis unfolds in one of the most fragile thresholds of human awareness, the narrow space between dreaming and waking, where consciousness rises before the body has fully returned from sleep's deepest currents. In this strange and delicate borderland, the mind becomes alert while the muscles remain suspended in the quiet paralysis of REM sleep. The result is a state that feels both unreal and unmistakably vivid, a moment where the dream world lingers like a shadow over the waking world. It is a place where imagination and perception overlap, where stillness becomes heavy, and where the mind confronts the mysterious choreography between brain, body, and awareness. To understand sleep paralysis, one must begin with REM atonia, the natural paralysis that accompanies dreaming. During REM sleep, the brain shuts down most voluntary muscle movement to keep the body safe. This paralysis is not symbolic but deeply physiological. It prevents you from acting out the vivid motions of your dreams. While the mind darts through imagined worlds, the body lies silent and still. For most people, REM atonia ends moments before consciousness returns. But sometimes the timing shifts. Sometimes awareness wakes up too early, flickering to life, while the body remains in its dream-induced immobility. In that moment, the dreamer becomes awake within a paralyzed body, unable to move, speak, or open their eyes fully, yet aware enough to sense the profound stillness pressing around them. This experience can feel unsettling because the usual harmony between mind and body is briefly disrupted. The mind reaches outward for movement or sound and finds nothing. The body, still locked in REM atonia, does not respond. The breath continues on its automatic rhythm, but it may feel shallow or heavy. Vision may remain closed or blurred. The world feels distant, muffled, as though you are awake beneath layers of invisible weight. The sensation can be as gentle as floating or as intense as being trapped. Yet, beneath all of it is a simple truth. Your mind has awakened, but your body is still dreaming. In this fragile state, the remnants of dreaming may spill into the waking world. The boundary between inner imagery and external perception becomes porous. Some people experience hypnopompic hallucinations, brief, vivid impressions that arise from the dreaming mind and overlay themselves onto the waking senses. These hallucinations can take many forms: shadows that shift, whispers that echo through the room, a presence felt nearby. They are not hallucinations in the clinical sense, but the fading glow of REM activity, still vibrant as the brain transitions back to waking consciousness. Because the emotional centers of the brain are still active, these impressions can feel charged, intense, or strangely meaningful. Some people sense a weight on their chest or a pressure in the room. This sensation is not caused by an external force, but by the natural heaviness of the chest muscles during REM atonia. The mind, still partially in the language of dreams, may interpret this weight as a presence. Throughout history, different cultures have given names to these sensations. An old ghost perched on the chest, a shadow in the doorway, a nocturnal visitor. These interpretations reflect humanity's attempt to understand a neurological event through the symbolism of experience. But sleep paralysis itself is neither supernatural nor dangerous. It is simply a momentary overlap of dreaming physiology and waking awareness. The feeling of being watched or not being alone is common during sleep paralysis. This arises because the amygdala, the brain's emotional sentinel, remains alert during the transition. In waking life, the amygdala scans the environment for danger, detecting subtle cues and preparing the body to respond. But in sleep paralysis, the body cannot respond. and the amygdala's alertness becomes amplified. With no external threat to interpret, the mind may create one from the air, shaping it from fragments of fear or memory. A shadow, a presence, a whisper. These are the mind trying to make sense of emotional signals in the absence of movement. Although sleep paralysis can feel frightening, it is one of the clearest windows into how consciousness functions. It reveals that waking and dreaming are not sharply divided states, but part of a gradient. Consciousness rises in layers. Sensory awareness returns first, followed by self-awareness, then motor control. Sleep paralysis occurs when these layers return out of order. The mind reaches the surface while the body remains submerged. In this moment, a person experiences the overlap, directly awake enough to observe, but still partially held by the dream's physiology. Some people experience sleep paralysis only once in their lives, perhaps during exhaustion, irregular sleep, or stress. Others experience it more frequently. Patterns emerge. It often happens when a person sleeps on their back, when their sleep schedule is disrupted, when they fall asleep too quickly, or when they awaken too suddenly from REM sleep. These triggers reveal the sensitivity of REM transitions and how easily they can shift. The brain's timing is usually precise, but small. Irregularities can create moments where consciousness and muscle control do not realign as expected. Interestingly, not all sleep paralysis is frightening. Some people experience it as a peaceful drift, an awareness without movement, a quiet suspension between worlds. They lie still, observing the serene-applied room, feeling the breath move gently through the body. Without fear, the moment becomes contemplative rather than alarming. This reveals that the emotional tone of sleep paralysis is shaped largely by interpretation. Fear arises not from the paralysis itself, but from the mind's attempt to make sense of that paralysis. When the experience is understood as temporary and harmless, the fear softens, and the moment becomes more intriguing than terrifying. In some cases, sleep paralysis becomes a gateway into lucid dreaming. The immobility, the sensory drift, the awareness within the body's stillness. These conditions create a natural transition point into a dream where the mind retains awareness. A person may relax into the experience, letting the dream world rise again, consciously entering a lucid state. The boundary between waking and dreaming shifts smoothly, revealing how closely the two are connected. What feels like a moment of helplessness becomes a bridge into a world shaped by imagination and curiosity. Culturally, sleep paralysis has long been woven into stories and folklore. Ancient civilizations interpreted it through the lens of spirits, deities, night creatures. Norse mythology spoke of figures who pressed on sleepers' chests. Japanese folklore described a spirit that immobilizes the body. Caribbean stories spoke of night entities that visit during sleep. These myths reveal not ignorance, but the human desire to explain a powerful and mysterious sensation. The interpretations varied, but the experience was universal. People across centuries felt the same stillness, the same presence, the same moment of suspended awareness. Despite its intensity, sleep paralysis is harmless. The paralysis always lifts. The breath continues. The heart beats steadily. The muscles gently awaken as the brain reactivates motor pathways. Once the transition completes, movement returns. Often suddenly a gasp, a twitch, a stretch, a sigh of relief. The body rejoins the mind, and the borderland dissolves. Afterward, many people feel a lingering sense of wonder, not simply because the experience was strange, but because it revealed the hidden machinery of dreaming. It showed that consciousness is layered, fragile, and astonishingly complex. It showed that the mind can awaken before the body, and that the dream world and waking world can touch at the edges. In the silence of sleep paralysis, you glimpse the architecture of awareness. the dreaming brain still alive, the waking mind returning, the body waiting to follow. Sleep paralysis is not a malfunction, but a momentary misalignment, a crossing of wires between states of being. It reveals the subtle transitions the brain must navigate every night and every morning. And it reminds us that the boundary between fear and understanding is thin, shaped not only by biology but by interpretation. When seen through the lens of awareness, the experience becomes less a nightmare, more a passage, a brief pause between worlds, a whisper from the dream state, lingering a moment too long. 12. Dreams across cultures and history. Dreams have drifted through the human story since long before writing, long before cities, long before nations. Every culture, in every corner of the world, has looked to the dream world as something meaningful, a place where the mind opens its quiet wings each night and touches a realm beyond ordinary sight. Across history, people have wondered what dreams are and where they come from. They have asked whether dreams are messages, memories, visitations, warnings, or simply echoes of thought. And though science now explains much about the biology of dreaming, the cultural roots of dreams remain rich and profound. Dreams have been woven into spiritual traditions, artistic imaginations, healing rituals, and the rhythms of everyday life. They reveal not only the mystery of sleep, but the way human beings make meaning from the unseen. In ancient civilizations, dreams were often viewed as bridges between worlds. The Egyptians believed dreams were messages from gods or spirits, carried through a sacred dimension that opened only when the body slept. Temples dedicated to dream interpretation were built along the Nile, where priests studied symbolism with great seriousness. People would sleep inside these temples, hoping for dreams that revealed guidance or healing. The Egyptians kept dream books, early manuals of interpretation filled with symbols and corresponding meanings. A dream of a river might signal abundance. A dream of a snake might warn of danger. These early interpretations show the human desire to understand the language of the subconscious, long before the concept of a subconscious existed. In ancient Greece, dreams held both spiritual and psychological power. Greeks believed that Asclepius, the god of healing, visited dreamers who slept in special sacred halls. These dreams were seen as direct communications, healing visions that could reveal cures. Philosophers also debated the nature of dreams. Aristotle suggested that dreams were connected to sensory impressions stored in the mind, while Plato believed they revealed deeper truths hidden beneath rational thought. The Greeks recognized the dual nature of dreams, part mystery, part mind, and their writings became some of the earliest explorations into what we now call dream psychology. The Romans continued this tradition, treating dreams as important omens. They believed emperors and leaders could receive warnings of political or personal danger through dreams. Historical accounts describe Roman generals delaying battles because of troubling dream visions. In this way, dreams influenced decisions that shaped entire nations. Roman dream books circulated widely, offering guidance for interpreting symbols, mountains, animals, storms, colors. These interpretations varied from culture to culture, yet they revealed a universal belief: dreams mattered. In the indigenous cultures of the Americas, dreams were woven directly into daily life and identity. Many Native American groups saw dreams as journeys of the spirit, as moments when the soul traveled beyond the physical body into unseen realms. In some plains tribes, visions received through dreams guided important life decisions, shaped spiritual practices, or revealed personal purpose. A young person might enter a vision quest, spending time alone in nature, sleeping under open sky to invite a dream that would guide them into adulthood. These dreams were not dismissed as illusions. They were honored as sacred messages, as mirrors of inner truth. In Mesoamerican cultures, such as the Maya and Aztecs, dreams were integrated into cosmology. Some dreams were believed to reveal future events or provide warnings from ancestors. Dream interpreters held respected roles, and symbols were recorded with great care. These civilizations saw the dream world as an extension of the spiritual universe, interconnected with gods, spirits, natural forces, and destiny. In ancient China, dreams were understood through the lens of balance and energy. Philosophers interpreted dreams as movements of the soul, as reflections of harmony or disharmony within the self. The Chinese medical tradition saw dreams as indicators of health. Certain dream patterns were linked to imbalances in specific organs or emotional states. A dream of floating might signal a weakness in qi, while a dream of fire might reflect internal heat or emotional agitation. These interpretations reveal how dreams were woven into medicine, meaning, and self-understanding. Across India, dreams have long carried spiritual significance. Hindu traditions describe dreams as layers of consciousness, ranging from ordinary mental activity to deeper spiritual insight. Some dreams were said to arise from memory, others from imagination, others from divine connection. In Buddhist traditions, dreams often reflected the state of the mind, teaching impermanence, illusion, or the workings of desire. Tibetan Buddhism developed a detailed practice of dream yoga, where practitioners learned to remain aware within their dreams, using lucidity as a path toward awakening. These practices recognized that the dream world could be a place of spiritual training, where the mind encountered itself without distraction. In the Islamic world, dreams occupied a special place in both personal and spiritual life. Many Muslims believe dreams could offer guidance, comfort, or clarity. The Prophet Muhammad himself spoke of the significance of dreams, and Islamic scholars wrote detailed works on dream interpretation, exploring how symbols could reflect inner states or divine messages. These interpretations were practical as well as spiritual, guiding decisions, relationships, and daily habits. Dream books circulated widely from Persia to North Africa, showing how deeply dreams were woven into tradition. In medieval Europe, dreams were often interpreted through religious lenses. Some dreams were seen as messages from God, others were viewed with suspicion, feared as temptations or illusions. Monks kept dream diaries, recording symbolic visions that shaped their spiritual journeys. Yet ordinary people also viewed dreams as meaningful glimpses into the unknown. A dream of a loved one might be considered a visitation. A dream of a natural disaster might be seen as a warning. The symbolic language of dreams became part of daily storytelling, influencing folklore and superstition. The Enlightenment brought new interpretations. As science developed, dreams were no longer seen primarily as divine messages. Philosophers and early psychologists began considering them internal experiences, expressions of the mind, rather than the supernatural world. By the late 19th century, Sigmund Freud proposed that dreams revealed unconscious desires, fears, and conflicts. Though his theories were not universally accepted, they deeply influenced modern psychology and opened the door to studying dreams as windows into the inner world. Carl Jung expanded these ideas, seeing dreams not just as expressions of personal experience, but as reflections of universal archetypes, shared symbols that appear across cultures and history. Jung believed dreams spoke in a symbolic language, revealing truths the conscious mind hid from itself. His interpretations echoed ancient traditions, suggesting that dreams connect the individual to a deeper, collective realm of human experience. Modern neuroscience has added new layers of understanding. We now know that dreams arise from the brain's complex interplay of memory, emotion, and imagination. Yet even with scientific explanations, the cultural meaning of dreams persists. People still wonder why they dreamed of someone long gone, what a recurring image means, why certain dreams feel prophetic or profound. Dreams continue to shape art, literature, music, and personal reflection. They remain moments where the ordinary mind encounters the extraordinary within itself. Despite vast differences in interpretation, one truth appears in every culture. Dreams matter because they reflect the inner life. They reveal desires, fears, memories, hopes, and questions. They mirror the invisible worlds that shape human experience. And in every era, dreams have been honored not only as strange night stories, but as intimate companions of the soul. Across continents and centuries, dreams have been healers, guides, teachers, warnings, mysteries, and metaphors. They have shaped rituals, inspired myths, influenced decisions, and connected people to forces greater than themselves. And while science may explain how dreams form, it cannot diminish their cultural power. Dreams remain one of humanity's oldest languages, a timeless dialogue between the conscious self and the deeper currents that move quietly beneath it. 13. The mystery of recurring dreams. Recurring dreams drift through the mind like familiar echoes, returning night after night, sometimes over months, sometimes appearing again years after their first visitation. They arrive with a sense of repetition that feels both intimate and puzzling, as though the dream is trying to speak a language you recognize but cannot fully translate. These dreams often follow patterns, the same places, the same scenarios, the same symbols, the same emotional currents. And because they return, they linger more deeply in the mind. They tug gently at waking consciousness, asking questions without using words, nudging the dreamer towards something unresolved, unseen, or unacknowledged. Recurring dreams are not accidents of memory. They are the mind's way of revisiting unfinished inner landscapes. To understand why dreams repeat, one must consider the brain's emotional priorities. Dreams arise not only from memory and imagination, but from emotional relevance. The dreaming mind pays close attention to feelings that remain active beneath the surface of waking life. When an emotion has not yet found its resolution, whether it is fear, longing, guilt, confusion, or hope, the brain may carry that emotion into the dream world repeatedly. The dream becomes a symbolic place where the unresolved emotion can be revisited, examined, or processed in different forms. Over time, the dream becomes a quiet ritual of returning to the same emotional terrain, not to punish the dreamer, but to help integrate what has not yet settled. Many recurring dreams involve themes of pursuit or escape. These dreams often reflect emotions or responsibilities the dreamer may be avoiding or postponing in waking life. The figure chasing you is rarely a literal threat. It is often a symbolic representation of something you are reluctant to face, a decision, a fear, a truth about yourself, or a situation that requires courage. The repetition of the dream suggests that the emotional charge behind the symbol remains unresolved. Each return offers another chance to face the underlying issue, even if it happens through metaphor. Other recurring dreams revolve around places, houses from childhood, schools long left behind, old neighborhoods, or imagined cities. These places are rarely literal reconstructions. Instead, they represent inner structures of memory, identity, or emotional experience. A recurring dream of a childhood home may reflect a part of the psyche rooted in early life beliefs, wounds, or attachments that continue shaping the present. A recurring dream of a school may symbolize learning, evaluation, performance, or self-criticism. The mind revisits these symbolic places because the themes they represent remain active within the dreamer's emotional world. The repetition is a map pointing towards something unfinished or unexamined. Falling dreams, flying dreams, losing teeth, being unprepared, missing a train. These classic, recurring themes appear across cultures because they tap into universal human feelings. Fear of failure, fear of loss, uncertainty about identity, anxiety about change. These emotions are woven deeply into the human experience. A recurring dream is the mind's way of returning to these feelings, exploring them from different angles, rehearsing them, or attempting to soften their impact. The more intense the emotion, the more likely it will return in dream form. Recurring dreams may also carry a creative or problem-solving function. When the mind is grappling with a difficult issue, a complex decision, a personal conflict, a challenging project, it may revisit the symbolic version of that issue repeatedly. The dream changes slightly each time, exploring new perspectives or testing new possibilities. Some recurring dreams evolve over time, shifting in tone or outcome as the dreamer makes progress in waking life. A nightmare may gradually become less frightening. A dream of being lost may begin to reveal a path. A dream of failing may eventually show a moment of success. These changes reflect the slow, quiet progress of emotional or cognitive integration. But not all recurring dreams come from struggle. Some are gentle, comforting, or mysterious. A dream of walking through a peaceful landscape, meeting a particular person, or returning to a serene place may signal an emotional need that the dream world fulfills. These dreams provide nourishment, reassurance, or connection. Their repetition suggests that the need persists, whether for comfort, grounding, creativity, or reflection. The dream becomes a nighttime sanctuary, revisited because it offers something the waking world does not fully provide. Recurring dreams can also be triggered by cycles in waking life. Certain themes may return during periods of stress, transition, growth, or introspection. When life presents familiar challenges, the dream may return as a symbolic mirror. If you encounter a similar relationship dynamic, career pressure, or emotional pattern, the dream may arise again to help you navigate the repeating rhythm. In this sense, recurring dreams act like emotional markers, guiding the dreamer through cycles of experience. Memory plays a subtle role as well. When a dream recurs, it becomes easier for the mind to access again the neural pathways associated with the dream. Its images, emotions, and patterns become strengthened through repetition. This makes the dream more likely to reappear during similar emotional states. The brain, always efficient, may draw from familiar templates when processing recurring feelings. In this way, recurring dreams become both a product of emotion and a product of the brain's learning mechanisms. Some recurring dreams persist for years without changing. These dreams often point to deep emotional roots, beliefs formed in childhood, unresolved trauma, or long-standing inner conflicts. The dream repeats because the emotional knot it represents remains tightly wound. Over time, as the dreamer heals, grows, or gains insight, the dream may eventually fade, shift, or stop altogether. Its disappearance can mark a significant moment in the dreamer's psychological journey, as though the mind has finally released something it held for a long time. On the other hand, some recurring dreams stop suddenly after a single moment of clarity. Sometimes the dreamer becomes lucid within the recurring dream, recognizing it as a dream and confronting the symbol directly. This confrontation can dissolve the pattern instantly. Other times, waking life brings a shift, a conversation, a realization, a decision that resolves the emotional tension underlying the dream. The dream no longer needs to return because its work is complete. Recurring dreams also reveal the intimate dialogue between the subconscious and the conscious mind. They show that the mind continues to communicate even when we are not listening. The repetition is a kind of emphasis, a gentle insistence that something deserves attention. It may be a fear you have tried to ignore, a desire you have not fully acknowledged, a wound that needs care, or a part of yourself that longs to be understood. Across cultures, recurring dreams have been viewed as messages, omens, or spiritual signals. Ancient civilizations believed these dreams carried divine communication. Indigenous cultures saw them as visions, calling the dreamer towards something important. Modern psychology views them as expressions of unresolved emotion or symbolic representations of inner conflict. But beneath all these interpretations lies a shared truth. Recurring dreams feel significant because they are significant. They arise again and again because they carry meaning, even if that meaning is not immediately clear. As with all dreams, the literal storyline matters less than the emotion it evokes. The dream may change slightly each time: new characters, new landscapes, new variations, but the emotional core remains. That emotion is the key. It points toward the place where the mind is still working, still healing, still seeking balance. Recurring dreams remind us that the mind is not silent at night. It continues to speak, to reach, to reveal. And when a dream returns again and again, it is because the dreamer is walking through an inner landscape that needs time, patience, and reflection. The repetition is a gentle knock, a soft echo in the dark, inviting the dreamer to listen more closely to the unfolding story within. 14. Animals and the dreaming world. Animals dream in ways both familiar and mysterious, drifting into inner landscapes that mirror, in their own quiet languages, the dream world humans enter each night. Across forests, oceans, deserts, and living rooms, countless creatures close their eyes and surrender to sleep, their bodies softening into stillness as their minds begin to flicker with hidden activity. These nighttime journeys unfold without words, without stories in the human sense, yet something stirs beneath their slumber, an internal theater made of sensation, memory, movement, and instinct. To watch an animal sleep is to witness a glimpse into its secret inner life, the silent, dreaming world where biology and imagination meet. The clues first appear in the tiniest motions. A sleeping dog twitches its paws as though running across invisible fields. A cat's whiskers shift. Its feet knead the air. Its tail trembles with subtle bursts of movement. Horses flick their ears and move their lips while deeply asleep. Birds ruffle their feathers, adjust their wings, or let out quiet chirps long after they've tucked their heads beneath their plumage. Even human companions, those who live closely with animals, notice small sounds, small motions, small ripples that seem to arise from dreams. These behaviors suggest that the same rhythms that shape human dreaming also shape the dreaming of other species, woven into the deeper fabric of animal life. Scientific study confirms what many have observed by intuition. Animals enter sleep stages, remarkably similar to human sleep cycles. Mammals and birds experience REM sleep, the stage associated with vivid dreaming. Their brains show bursts of electrical activity during REM that echo the intensity of human dreams. In these moments, the eyes of a mouse dart beneath closed lids, just as human eyes do. The brain of a sleeping parrot lights up with neural storms that mirror the internal activity of human dream sleep. The sleeping body becomes a quiet vessel while the mind awakens within. Even reptiles, long thought to lack the complexity required for dreaming, have shown signs of REM-like sleep cycles in recent studies. Though their dreams, if they exist, may differ from those of mammals or birds, the presence of such rhythms suggests the roots of dreaming stretch back deep into evolutionary time. Sleep, with its cycles of memory, rest, and inner imagery, may be an ancient gift passed from early life to the creatures of today. It hints that dreaming is not a human invention, but a biological inheritance shared across species. One of the earliest and most fascinating discoveries in animal dreaming came from research on rats. Scientists recorded the brain activity of rats as they ran mazes during the day and discovered that the same patterns of neural firing replayed during sleep. The rats were dreaming of the mazes, rehearsing them, replaying them, perhaps even refining their strategies. Their dreaming brains retraced the paths they had taken, almost as though the experience was being etched more deeply into memory. This revealed something profound. Animals dream not just randomly, but in ways that connect directly to their waking lives. Like humans, they may use dreams to strengthen memories, rehearse behaviors, and process the emotional weight of experience. Birds provide another window into the dreaming world. Songbirds, for instance, appear to practice their songs in their sleep. When young birds learn complex melodies from their parents, their nighttime brain activity mirrors the patterns produced during singing. It is as though the bird rehearses the music of its life inside the quiet darkness of sleep, shaping its future song with nocturnal practice. These dreams reveal an astonishing truth. Animals use sleep to refine the skills that matter most to their survival and identity. Cats, long observed for their mysterious behaviors, offer yet more clues. Studies of feline sleep show that cats not only enter REM sleep, but experience strong neural bursts in regions associated with hunting behaviors. This aligns with the twitching paws, flicking tails, and small biting motions observed during their slumber. In dreams, cats may be stalking prey, pouncing, exploring landscapes, movement patterns rooted in their instincts. The dream allows them to engage with their predatory nature in a realm where no danger or hunger exists, blending instinct with imagination in a subtle nighttime rehearsal. Dogs, too, appear to dream in emotionally meaningful ways. Many dog owners notice their companions whimpering softly, wagging their tails, or making running motions while asleep. These movements may reflect dreams of companionship, play, exploration, or memories of daily life. Some scientists believe dogs may dream of their humans, their routines, their favorite activities, or their emotional bonds. A dog may chase a ball in its dream, or curl up beside a familiar figure. These dreams are not linguistic, but emotional, rooted in sensory memory, affection, and instinctual joy. Large animals also dream, though their sleeping rhythms differ. Elephants, despite sleeping fewer hours than many species, enter dreamlike states that appear rich with emotional resonance. Their dreams may draw from experiences of family, travel, social bonds, or memory. For elephants possess remarkable emotional intelligence, long-term recall. Watching a sleeping elephant sway or shift, as though reacting to inner stimuli, evokes a sense of ancient dreaming, a glimpse of the deep shared consciousness of living things. Even marine animals show signs of complex dreaming. Dolphins and whales sleep with half their brain, awake to maintain breathing and awareness. But the resting hemisphere cycles through sleep stages that include patterns resembling REM. Though it is difficult to observe dreaming directly in these creatures, the presence of these rhythms suggests a form of dreaming unique to the aquatic world, perhaps a drifting, fluid experience shaped by sound, sensation, and memory. Octopuses, among the most intelligent invertebrates, display color changes during sleep waves of pattern and hue flowing across their skin. Some scientists believe this may be linked to dream activity, their bodies expressing inner visions of hunting, camouflage, or exploration. Why do animals dream? The answer, like the nature of dreaming itself, is complex and layered. Memory seems to be part of the story. Animals revisit experiences in their sleep to strengthen neural pathways and refine behavior. Emotion is another part. Fear, joy, curiosity, affection, These feelings shape animal dreams just as they shape human dreams. Instinct plays a role too. A predator dreams of hunting. A prey animal may dream of escape. A bird dreams of flight. A social creature may dream of its group. Dreams allow animals to simulate actions and emotions in a safe inner space, supporting survival, learning, and emotional balance. Dreams also reflect the rich inner lives of animals, lives far more complex than humans once assumed. To see a dog twitch, a cat murmur, a bird flutter its wings in sleep, or an octopus ripple with color is to witness something deeply moving, the mind of another being, exploring itself in the darkness. These moments remind us that the dreaming world is not exclusive to human consciousness. It is a vast, shared terrain that stretches across species, revealing the common threads of life, memory, instinct, and emotion. And though animals cannot describe their dreams, their behaviors speak softly of inner landscapes that we can almost imagine: fields where dogs run, forests where cats hunt, skies where birds soar, oceans where marine creatures drift through currents of memory. Their dreams are stories told without words, written in neural bursts, flickering muscles, and ancient instincts. In the quiet companionship of a sleeping animal, there is a sense of connection. For in that moment, you and the creature beside you are traveling parallel paths through the landscapes of sleep, different minds, different worlds, yet united by the shared mystery of dreaming. It is a reminder that consciousness exists on a spectrum across life, and that the dream world, silent, vast, and intimate, is one of the places where all beings meet, if only for a moment, in the soft, unfolding darkness of night. 15. The physics of time in dreams. Time behaves differently in dreams, slipping loose from the rhythm that guides waking life. A single moment can stretch into an eternity. Hours can pass inside a dream, even though only minutes have moved in the outside world. Sometimes a dream unfolds in rapid fragments, each scene shifting so quickly that the mind barely has time to perceive the change. Other times, dreams create long, sprawling journeys with landscapes, emotions, and events that feel richly detailed, yet vanish the moment the dream awakes. This strange elasticity of time is one of the most mysterious qualities of dreaming, a gentle reminder that the mind, once freed from the constraints of physical reality, experiences time as something fluid, malleable, and deeply subjective. To understand why time bends in dreams, one must begin with the nature of consciousness itself. In waking life, the sense of time comes not from clocks, but from sequences of experience. The mind stitches together events moment by moment, anchored by sensory input and constant interaction with the external world. Light, sound, touch, gravity, all these sensations create a steady flow of information that gives waking time its structure. But when the eyes close and the world fades away, the mind no longer receives these grounding signals. The dream world becomes self-contained, and the experience of time becomes shaped not by external forces but by the brain's own rhythms. During REM sleep, the stage when the most vivid dreams occur, the brain is highly active. Electrical signals ripple through the cortex in patterns that resemble waking consciousness, but without the orderly input of the outside world. The brain becomes both storyteller and observer, creating entire scenes from memory, imagination, and emotion. These scenes may unfold quickly or slowly, but their pace is not tied to the passing of actual time. Instead, time within dreams reflects the speed at which the brain processes images, emotions, and narratives. A rapid sequence of thoughts may create the illusion of a long storyline. A deeply emotional moment may stretch indefinitely, giving the impression of more time than has actually passed. The sense of time in dreams is also influenced by the absence of linear thinking. the prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning, logic, and time perception, becomes quieter during REM sleep. Without the brain's logical narrator keeping chronological order, the dream can warp time without resistance. Events may appear out of sequence. A dream may shift abruptly from one setting to another without any transitional moment. This discontinuity does not feel strange within the dream, because the part of the brain that questions inconsistencies is temporarily quiet. Time can loop, pause, accelerate, or jump, and the dreaming mind accepts it without question. Memory plays a role in shaping the illusion of dream time. During sleep, the brain is not recording events as it does while awake. Instead, dreams appear as complete experiences because the mind inserts context and fills gaps instantly. When you dream of walking through a city, the dream may create the sensation that you have been walking for a long time, even if the actual dream lasted seconds. The brain generates the feeling of continuity by stitching together memories of the dream as though they were part of a longer narrative. This retroactive sense of duration creates the illusion that the dream contained more time than it did. Emotion also stretches and compresses dream time. Strong emotions, fear, awe, longing, joy, intensify awareness within the dream, making moments feel longer and more vivid. A frightening dream can feel endless because the emotional weight amplifies the sense of time passing. On the other hand, dreams filled with peace or wonder may seem timeless, as though time evaporates entirely. The dream becomes less about events and more about atmosphere, creating a sense of duration without anchoring it to any chronological sequence. Another layer of the dream time mystery lies in the brain's ability to simulate long experiences quickly. In waking life, imagining a scenario may take only a few seconds, yet the scenario may feel much longer. Dreams amplify this phenomenon. Because sensory detail is generated internally, the brain can create the illusion of extended events without spending real time to simulate them. A dream of traveling across a country may last only moments in real time, because the brain compresses the experience into symbolic images: a highway, a landscape, a conversation, a sunset. The mind interprets these symbols as a complete journey, even though they were created rapidly. The physics of time in dreams becomes even more intriguing when considering lucid dreams. In lucidity, the dreamer becomes aware that they are dreaming, and this awareness reactivates parts of the brain associated with reflection and self-control. Lucid dreamers often report that time feels more stable, more similar to waking life. Yet even in lucidity, the dream's internal clock remains separate from physical time. A lucid dreamer may experience a long adventure inside the dream, only to wake and find that a few minutes have passed. This suggests that time in dreams is not limited by the speed of real-world events, but by the brain's cognitive processes. Some researchers propose that dream time is tied to the brain's internal pacing, the speed at which it cycles through neural patterns. During REM sleep, these cycles may accelerate, allowing the brain to process complex sequences rapidly. The dreamer perceives this rapid processing as extended time. Other theories suggest that dreams contain temporal fragments, disconnected pieces of experience that the mind later weaves into a coherent storyline during waking recall. The dream may feel long only because the mind strings together disjointed moments into an imagined sequence. Yet the subjective nature of dream time remains difficult to measure. Dream reports vary widely. Some people feel their dreams last hours. Others feel dreams pass in flashes. Some report dreams of entire lifetimes, a phenomenon that occurs rarely, but leaves a profound impression. In these extended dreams, the mind constructs a vast internal world, complete with seasons, relationships, and lengthy experiences. The dreamer may awaken with the uncanny feeling of having lived through years in the span. of a single REM cycle. Though rare, these dreams reveal just how expansive the dream world can be and how elastic the mind's perception of time truly is. The experience of time slowing or speeding in dreams mirrors phenomena in waking life. In moments of danger or excitement, the mind shifts into a heightened state that makes time appear slower. In moments of deep concentration or flow, time may evaporate entirely. Dreams amplify these subjective distortions because they lack the external anchors that normally keep time stable. Without clocks, daylight, or the physical body's rhythms, the mind constructs time out of emotion, imagination, and narrative, creating a world where time flows according to feeling rather than physics. Ultimately, the physics of dream time reflects the fluidity of consciousness itself. Time in dreams is not measured, it is sensed. It is shaped by meaning, emotion, memory, and imagination. It expands when the mind lingers and contracts when the mind leaps. It loops, it fractures, it dissolves. It becomes whatever the dream requires. And when the dream ends, time returns to its familiar pace, leaving only the soft impression of a journey that unfolded in ways no clock could capture. In this way, dreaming reveals the malleability of human experience. It shows that time is not merely a physical property, but a construct woven from awareness. In sleep, the mind becomes free to stretch beyond the boundaries of waking perception, reminding us that the deepest truths of consciousness are not measured in minutes or hours, but in the quiet, luminous expanses we drift through when the outer world grows silent. 16. The silent language of symbols. Dreams speak in a language without words, a quiet vocabulary made of images, sensations, movements, and atmospheres. This language does not follow the grammar of waking life. It does not rely on logic, chronology, or literal meaning. Instead, it unfolds in metaphors, shapes drawn from memory, emotion, instinct, and imagination, woven together into scenes that communicate not through explanation, but through resonance. When the conscious mind falls asleep, the deeper layers of the psyche begin to speak, and they speak in symbols. These symbols rise from the currents of the unconscious, like soft lanterns floating upward, illuminating truths the waking mind may overlook. 2. Understand why dreams use symbols. One must consider the way emotions and memories are stored in the brain. The unconscious does not organize information with language. It organizes experience through patterns, associations, and sensory impressions. Emotions attach themselves to images rather than sentences. Memories bind to feelings rather than explanations. When the dreaming mind begins to create its inner landscapes, it pulls from these symbolic reservoirs, shaping emotions into scenes that express meaning without direct words. A dream of standing at the edge of a vast sea may not be about the sea at all. It may be about uncertainty, potential, fear, longing, or transformation. The image is the doorway to the feeling. Symbols allow the mind to communicate in broad strokes, expressing complex ideas that cannot be articulated directly. The dream might show a locked door, not because you literally need a key, but because something in your life feels inaccessible. It might show a broken bridge, not because you will face one, but because something in your waking world feels unstable or interrupted. It might show a rising storm, not because bad weather approaches, because emotions are gathering beneath the surface. The dream speaks in images, because images speak more deeply than words. They bypass logic and reach directly into the intuitive layers of the mind. Some symbols are universal. They appear across cultures, across centuries, across individuals who have never met. Falling is one of these symbols. So is flying. So is being chased, being lost, exploring unknown rooms, or watching the world shift unexpectedly. These universal symbols reflect common human experiences: fear, hope, desire, transformation, vulnerability. They arise from shared instincts and emotions, shaped by the evolutionary history of the species. For example, being chased is a recurring symbol because the brain evolved to rehearse threats in the safe environment of sleep. Falling appears often because it taps into ancient fears of danger and uncertainty. Flying emerges from the longing for freedom and transcendence. These symbols are woven into the collective human psyche, expressing themes that unite us beneath our individual differences. Other symbols are deeply personal. A particular house may appear repeatedly in your dreams because it represents childhood, memory, or identity. A particular person may symbolize something you felt but never fully understood. Objects may appear with exaggerated importance, not because of their literal meaning, but because of the emotions tied to them. A book, a photograph, a childhood toy, a piece of jewelry. These objects may carry personal significance that only the dreamer recognizes. The symbol belongs to the dreamer's inner world, shaped by their experiences, relationships, wounds, and desires. Some symbols blend the personal and the universal, creating scenes that feel both intimate and archetypal. A dream of wandering through a forest may symbolize the universal journey into the unknown, but the forest itself may be shaped by the dreamer's own memories of places they have walked. A dream of water may reflect universal themes of emotion and depth, but the kind of water calm, turbulent, clear, or murky may reveal the dreamer's specific emotional state. In this way, symbols are dynamic, shaped both by the architecture of the mind and by the details of the dreamer's lived experience. Dream symbols often appear exaggerated. A staircase may stretch endlessly upward. A room may be impossibly large. A figure may appear larger than life or strangely small. These exaggerations reveal the emotional weight behind the symbol. The dream magnifies or distorts an image to emphasize the feeling it represents. The unconscious does not whisper, it amplifies. The goal is not accuracy, but expression. The dream world bends reality, so the emotional truth can shine more clearly. The symbolic language of dreams also allows the mind to approach difficult emotions indirectly. Painful experiences, grief, fear, guilt, trauma, often cannot be confronted directly in waking life. The dream uses symbols as gentle intermediaries, allowing the dreamer to explore these emotions in a safe and manageable way. Instead of reliving a painful moment, the dream creates a symbolic scene that captures its essence. A dark room may represent depression. An abandoned building may symbolize neglect. A threatening figure may embody unresolved fear. By interacting with the symbol, the dreamer processes the emotion indirectly, making it less overwhelming. The unconscious often chooses symbols based on emotional associations rather than logical connections. A dream of fire could symbolize anger, passion, transformation, or destruction, depending on the dreamer's relationship with fire. A dream of water could symbolize peace, change, fear, or renewal. This ambiguity is not a flaw, it is the richness of symbolic language. The symbol holds many meanings, allowing the dream to communicate layered truths simultaneously. The dreamer must feel the symbol rather than analyze it. Interpretation is not a puzzle to be solved, but a conversation between emotion and imagery. Some symbols appear repeatedly because the emotion they represent remains unresolved. A dream may show the same object, place, or scenario many times, evolving slowly as the dreamer moves through their psychological journey. A locked door may eventually open. A dark figure may gradually become familiar. A broken bridge may be repaired. These changes reflect shifts in the dreamer's inner world. The symbol evolves as the emotion evolves, revealing the slow unfolding of healing and understanding. Symbols can also appear as guides. Many dreamers encounter figures who offer advice, deliver messages, or illuminate hidden truths. These figures may appear as teachers, loved ones, strangers, or even animals. They are not external beings, but symbolic representations of the dreamer's own wisdom, intuition, or inner voice. In the dream world, the mind externalizes parts of itself, so they can speak more clearly. The figure that comforts you is your own instinct for self-compassion. The figure that warns you is your intuition. The figure that challenges you is your drive toward growth. These symbolic guides reveal the depth and complexity of the inner self. Even landscapes in dreams carry symbolic weight. Mountains symbolize challenge or aspiration. Forests symbolize exploration or uncertainty. Oceans symbolize deep emotion or transformation. Skies symbolize freedom or possibility. These landscapes are not passive settings. They are active symbols, shaping the emotional atmosphere of the dream and guiding the dreamer through inner terrain. The symbolic language of dreams is not meant to be decoded by rigid interpretation. It shifts, evolves, and adapts to the dreamer's emotional landscape. The meaning of snake in one dream may differ completely from its meaning in another. What matters is not the symbol itself, but the feeling it evokes. Dreams communicate through resonance. You understand them not with logic, but with intuition, sensitivity, and reflection. Ultimately, the silent language of symbols is the mind's way of speaking its deepest truths. It allows the inner world to express itself freely, beyond the boundaries of words. It transforms emotion into imagery, memory into metaphor, desire into symbol. And as it does, the dream becomes a mirror, reflecting not the literal events of life, but the emotional and psychological undercurrents that shape who you are. Dream symbols remind us that the mind contains vast, hidden landscapes. They show that beneath the surface of consciousness lies a world rich with meaning, beauty, and complexity. And in the quiet of night, the mind speaks this language softly, inviting you to listen not with your ears, but with your inner knowing. 17. Architecture of dreamscapes. Dreamscapes rise from the depths of the sleeping mind like vast and shifting worlds, constructed not from physical matter, but from memory, emotion, imagination, and sensation. These inner landscapes can feel astonishingly real, rich with color, texture, weight, and detail. Yet they are shaped entirely by the brain's quiet activity during sleep. Each dream unfolds within a unique architecture, a structure that reflects the dreamer's inner state, even when the dream seems strange or nonsensical. In these dream-built worlds, the laws of physics, geography, and logic bend and shimmer. Space stretches, collapses, and expands as easily as thought. The dreamer walks through environments that feel familiar and unfamiliar at once, as if crafted from fragments of memory rearranged into new and mysterious forms. Dream architecture is fluid. It shifts from moment to moment, responding to the emotional currents that guide the dream. A hallway may extend endlessly. A door may open into a forest. A familiar house may reveal hidden rooms that have never existed, each one shaped by the dreamer's subconscious. These transformations do not feel strange in the dream. They unfold seamlessly, accepted by the dreaming mind as natural extensions of the unfolding story. This fluidity arises because the brain's real-world mapping systems, those that track space, continuity, and physical laws, are softened during REM sleep. The mind is not bound by the rules that govern waking perception. Instead, it constructs reality from memory traces and emotional associations, sculpting landscapes that reflect inner truth more than outer consistency. At the heart of dream architecture lies the hippocampus, the region of the brain responsible for memory and spatial navigation. During sleep, the hippocampus samples fragments of experience from places you have visited, rooms you have lived in, landscapes you have walked through, and recombines them into new environments. A dream city may be built from streets you once saw in passing, buildings remembered from childhood, and structures imagined entirely by the mind. The architecture feels coherent because the brain assembles it using the same neural pathways that help you navigate the waking world. Even impossible structures feel navigable because the brain endows them with the familiarity of memory. Yet emotion shapes the architecture more deeply than memory. Dream landscapes often mirror the dreamer's inner state, expressing emotions through physical form. Anxiety may create narrow hallways, endless staircases, or cluttered rooms. Peace may create open fields, calm, oceans, or quiet spaces filled with soft light. Confusion may appear as shifting floors, broken pathways, or unpredictable transitions. Longing may manifest as distant horizons or unreachable destinations. The dreaming mind transforms feeling into structure, turning emotions into geography. In this way, dreamscapes become metaphors, living maps of the inner world. Some dreamscapes are rooted in real places, yet subtly altered. You may dream of your childhood home, but with details missing, exaggerated, or replaced. These distortions reveal the emotional significance of the place rather than its literal appearance. The mind emphasizes what matters and ignores what does not. A dream home may be filled with warmth or unease depending on the memories associated with it. A dream school may feel overwhelming or luminous depending on the feelings it evokes. The architecture is a reflection of inner memory, not external reality. Other dreamscapes are entirely fictional worlds you have never seen yet feel strangely meaningful. These creations arise from the mind's ability to blend memory fragments with imagination, forming places that feel symbolic or archetypal. A desert may appear as a symbol of solitude or challenge. A castle may represent aspiration or power. A labyrinth may symbolize complexity or confusion. These imaginary landscapes often carry emotional weight, revealing themes the dreamer may not consciously recognize. They are architectural poems, built from the subconscious with the fluid logic of metaphor. Time also shapes dream architecture. Some landscapes feel ancient, carved from distant memories or deep instincts. Others feel futuristic or surreal, as though born from imagination unfettered by the constraints of waking experience. The brain is capable of generating spaces that feel timeless, blending elements from past, present, and imagined future into a single environment. A dream may begin in a modern city and transition into a primeval forest without any sense of contradiction. The architecture moves with emotion rather than chronology. One of the most intriguing aspects of dream architecture is its ability to create vast spaces that feel larger than the dreaming brain could realistically simulate. A dream may contain an entire city, mountain range, or ocean, yet the brain generates these environments instantaneously. This is possible because dreams rely on impression rather than detail. The mind does not render the entire landscape at once. It generates only what the dreamer focuses on, filling in the rest with suggestion and memory. Just as a painter uses brushstrokes to imply depth, the dreaming brain uses cues to evoke vastness. The mind perceives a wide, expansive world, even though only fragments are actively constructed. Movement through dreamscapes also reveals the fluidity of dream design. You may walk, float, or glide through environments without sensory explanation. The movement follows the logic of thought rather than the mechanics of the body. Distance compresses or expands depending on emotional meaning. A desired destination may feel impossibly far, reflecting avoidance or uncertainty. A feared location may appear suddenly, reflecting the mind's focus on the emotion. In dreams, space is elastic because emotion bends it. Architecture in dreams can also shift in response to awareness. In a lucid dream, when the dreamer recognizes the dream, the environment often becomes more vivid, more detailed, more stable. Colors deepen, structures sharpen. The dreamscape takes on a clarity that resembles waking perception. This occurs because the brain's reflective regions activate, bringing more cognitive energy to the scene. The dream becomes a collaboration between imagination and awareness, creating a world that feels astonishingly real, yet deeply personal. Recurring. Dreamscapes hold special significance. When the same environment appears repeatedly, it reflects a stable, emotional, or psychological theme. A dreamer who often visits a particular city, house, or landscape may be working through long-term patterns, identity, fear, desire, memory, or growth. These recurring spaces become inner landmarks, guiding the dreamer through their subconscious terrain. As the dreamer evolves, the architecture may evolve as well. Rooms opening, bridges forming, landscapes brightening. The changing architecture reflects the changing inner world. In many dreams, architecture appears unstable or impossible. Doors may lead nowhere. Stairs may spiral endlessly. Walls may shift unexpectedly. These distortions reveal the mind's attempt to navigate emotional ambiguity. They express uncertainty, transition, or the sense of being between stages of life. The architecture becomes an emotional metaphor, showing the dreamer how they experience their inner reality at that moment. Yet there are also dreams where the architecture feels profoundly beautiful: sunlit halls, quiet gardens, vast celestial landscapes. These environments may reflect moments of healing, clarity, or insight. They arise when the emotional currents of the mind move toward peace. Even if they vanish upon waking, they leave a lingering sense of calm, as though the dreamer touched something gentle within themselves. The architecture of dreamscapes reveals that the mind is not a passive observer during sleep. It is an artist, constructing worlds with remarkable fluidity and depth. Each dream is a landscape shaped by memory, emotion, instinct, and imagination. Each structure holds meaning, even when the meaning is not immediately clear. And each night, as the dreamer drifts into this inner world, the architecture rises to meet them, offering a glimpse into the vast, creative, and ever-shifting terrain of the subconscious. Dreamscapes remind us that the mind contains more space than the waking world can hold. They show that our inner lives are infinite, that imagination can build worlds without boundaries, and that the landscapes we explore at night reflect truths we may not yet see in daylight. In the quiet darkness of sleep, the architecture of dreams becomes a mirror, showing not what exists outside us, but what lives deep within. 18. Memory, dreams, and the mind's archive. Memory drifts through the dreaming mind like a soft and shifting tide. Some memories rise clearly, carrying the colors and textures of real events, while others become blurred, rearranged, or woven into scenes that never took place. Dreams gather fragments from across the archive of lived experience, moments from childhood, faces from years past, emotions only half remembered, and blend them with imagination to create entirely new narratives. This quiet interplay between memory and dreaming reveals the profound connection between who we have been, who we are now, and who we are becoming. To dream is not only to sleep, but to wander through the inner library of the self, where memories whisper in symbolic form and reshape themselves in the rhythms of night. To understand how memory shapes dreams, one must consider the nature of memory itself. Memories are not stored like photographs or recordings. They are networks of neural connections, delicate patterns of electrical and chemical activity that represent experience. Each time a memory is recalled, it changes slightly, reshaped by current emotions and perspectives. Dreams amplify this fluidity. During sleep, especially during REM, the brain revisits memories in a state of loosened logic and heightened emotion, allowing them to merge with other memories, sensations, and symbols. This merging is not random. It is part of the brain's nightly effort to organize experience, strengthen important memories, release unnecessary ones, and integrate emotional meaning. The hippocampus plays a central role in this process. During waking life, it captures new experiences and helps encode them. During sleep, it replays these experiences, sending signals to other regions of the brain to consolidate memories into long-term storage. These replay sequences are sometimes literal, as when the hippocampus replays a spatial route or skill learned during the day. More often, they are symbolic or fragmented. The mind may revisit an emotion rather than an event, or recall a detail loosely connected to the deeper feeling. Dreams arise from this activity, becoming the canvas on which the brain paints its internal memory work. This is why dreams often contain familiar elements rearranged in unfamiliar ways. A childhood friend may appear in a place you have never visited. A memory from years ago may blend seamlessly with a scene from yesterday. The brain is not reconstructing reality. It is weaving together emotionally significant threads, bringing them into dialogue with one another. This blending helps the mind find connections between experiences that seem separate during the day. It creates new associations, reveals hidden patterns, and tests interpretations of events in symbolic form. Emotion is the organizing force behind much of this work. Memories that carry emotional weight, whether joy, fear, grief, or longing, are more likely to appear in dreams. They do so because the brain prioritizes emotionally charged memories for processing, consolidation, or reinterpretation. A difficult conversation may reappear in a dream as a symbolic argument with a stranger. A moment of happiness may rise as a warm, glowing landscape. Grief may appear as a scene of searching, losing, or remembering. The dream uses memory fragments to explore emotions that waking thought may not fully address. Sometimes dreams bring forth memories long forgotten or buried beneath layers of time. A toy from childhood, a long-lost classmate, a smell from a place once familiar. These elements may rise unexpectedly, surprising the dreamer with their vividness. Such memories often surface because the brain is exploring deep layers of the past, integrating them with the present, or re-examining their emotional significance. Even if the dreamer does not consciously recall the memory afterward, the dream has performed its quiet work, bringing the old memory into alignment with current understanding. Yet dreams are not only shaped by memory, they also shape memory. After waking, dream content may blend with waking memories, influencing thoughts, interpretations, or emotional states. A dream may bring clarity to a situation, not by providing factual information, but by illuminating how the dreamer feels. It may bring closure simply by allowing the mind to experience a symbolic resolution. It may help solidify a lesson learned or soften the impact of a stressful event. The interplay is bidirectional. Memory creates dreams, and dreams reshape memory. In some cases, dreams distort memories so completely that the dreamer awakens unsure of what was real. This confusion reveals the flexibility of memory and the power of dreams to reframe experience. The dreaming mind does not distinguish sharply between memory and imagination. Both arise from the same neural networks, and both are influenced by emotion. When the boundary softens during sleep, memories become more fluid and open to reinterpretation. This fluidity is part of how the brain learns and adapts by revising old patterns to better reflect the present. Dreams also help protect memory by removing unnecessary information. Throughout the day, the brain absorbs countless sensory inputs, many of which are irrelevant or fleeting. During sleep, the mind filters through this material, reinforcing what matters and discarding what does not. Dreams often reflect this sorting, especially in their early stages. The brain may briefly flash images from the day, faces glimpsed in passing, sounds overheard, objects touched without thought before discarding them. These ephemeral dream moments, called hypnagogic or hypnopompic fragments, reveal the brain's nightly house cleaning, clearing space for the memories that shape identity. But the mind does not only strengthen or discard memories, it also integrates them. This integration is essential for learning. When a new experience is connected to existing memories, it gains meaning and becomes easier to recall. Dreams facilitate this process by blending new and old information. A skill practiced during the day may reappear in a dream, strengthened by rehearsal. A new understanding may crystallize in symbolic form, revealing itself as a metaphor or scenario that makes the lesson feel intuitive. Even when the dreamer does not remember the dream, the learning remains. Memory also shapes the emotional tone of dreams. If a person has experienced trauma, dreams may revisit the associated memories repeatedly. This is part of the brain's attempt to process the event, to soften its emotional intensity, or to understand its significance. The dream may replay the memory literally or symbolically, or replace key details to allow the dreamer to approach the emotion from different angles. Over time, this repetition can help the mind integrate the memory and reduce distress. Yet the process can be difficult, especially when the emotional charge remains high. In such cases, dreams become intense and vivid not because the mind is malfunctioning, but because it is working through one of the most complex tasks of emotional healing. Not all dream memory interactions are heavy or dramatic. Many dreams blend joyful memories into whimsical scenes. A beloved relative may appear simply to share a moment. A cherished place may return as a sanctuary. A childhood memory may rise for no reason, except that the mind wishes to revisit it. These dreams serve as emotional nourishment, reminding the dreamer of moments that shaped them gently and beautifully. There are also dreams where memory seems oddly absent, experiences of wandering through landscapes without context, interacting with strangers who feel deeply familiar, or experiencing events that have no connection to anything remembered. These dreams reveal the mind's imaginative capacities. They show that dreaming is not merely memory replay, but a creative synthesis of memory, instinct, emotion, and imagination. The brain can generate entirely new experiences, much like a painter creating a scene from imagination rather than observation. Ultimately, the relationship between memory and dreams reveals the mind's remarkable ability to weave together the past and present. Dreams become the bridge between experience and understanding, between emotion and meaning, between memory and identity. They remind us that the mind is never still, not even in sleep. It is constantly shaping, refining, questioning, and integrating. Every night, as the dreamer drifts into sleep, the mind turns inward, opening the doors to its vast internal archive. Memories rise like pages illuminated by soft inner light. Some are read again, some are rewritten, some are filed away. Some are transformed into symbols that reveal truths the waking mind has not yet spoken. In this quiet, hidden work, dreams help shape the story of who we are and who we continue to become. 19. The edge of awakening. There is a delicate moment each morning when the mind stands at the threshold between dreaming and waking, an in-between space where the world of sleep loosens but does not yet fully release its hold. This edge of awakening is a quiet place, suspended between two realms, The body begins to stir. The breath shifts slightly. The light behind the eyelids grows brighter, and fragments of dreams drift through awareness like soft echoes fading into morning air. In this fragile transition, the mind reveals its most subtle movements, letting the dream world dissolve, one shimmering layer at a time. Yet even as dreams disappear, something from them lingers, an emotion, an impression, a question, a whisper of imagery that follows the dreamer into waking daylight. This threshold state exists because waking does not arrive instantly. The brain moves through a gradual sequence of shifts, rising slowly from the depths of REM sleep. During this ascent, some regions of consciousness wake earlier than others. Sensory awareness begins to return. Sounds sharpen. Light becomes recognizable. The sense of the body reawakens. But the dreaming regions of the brain may still be active. The emotional centers may still be glowing with intensity. The imagery networks may still be producing faint scenes. The result is a blend of two states. The dreamer is awake enough to notice, yet not awake enough to separate fully from the dream. In this borderland, dreams often appear most vivid. A dream that felt vague during the night may suddenly feel clearer upon waking, as though rising to the surface of awareness in one final surge. Details that would have gone unnoticed while asleep may shine brightly in these first moments, colors you never see, sounds that never exist in waking life, faces that feel familiar though you cannot name them. The mind, still half connected to the dream world, allows the dream to be remembered for a fleeting moment before the waking mind takes over and the memory slips back into the subconscious. Sometimes this threshold brings confusion. The dream may feel so real that the waking mind struggles to distinguish it from memory. A dream of speaking with someone you miss may leave a lingering sense of presence. A dream of danger may awaken a pounding heart, even though the body lies safely in bed. A dream of joy may fill the morning with warmth, as though the emotion traveled across the boundary unchanged. These lingering sensations remind the dreamer that emotion is the bridge between worlds, more enduring than imagery, more resilient than narrative. As the mind rises further, the logical and analytical regions reawaken. They begin organizing experience into coherence. They look for continuity, grounding, and familiarity. Yet the dream resists logic. The narrative dissolves under scrutiny. Scenes unravel. The dream fades. Sometimes the mind grasps at the dream, trying to hold on to it. But the harder one tries, the faster it disappears. This is because the brain's chemistry shifts rapidly upon awakening. Neurotransmitters, essential for memory consolidation like norepinephrine, flood back into the system, changing the state of awareness. What was vivid moments earlier now feels distant, unreachable, like mist slipping between fingers. Still, not all dreams vanish. Some cling to the waking mind because they contain emotional weight or unresolved meaning. A dream that touches something deep inside fear, longing, grief, hope may remain present long after the narrative fades. You may remember only a single image, a single moment, or even just a feeling. Yet that fragment can guide the mood of the entire day. It may soften or sharpen your awareness. It may bring clarity or confusion or curiosity. It may linger like the fading echo of a distant song. There is a tenderness in this space between dreaming and waking. The world feels softer at the edge of consciousness. The mind does not immediately resume its pace of thinking, planning, or remembering. Instead, it hovers for a moment, resting in a gentle openness. This pause is a natural part of waking, a moment where the mind transitions from inward exploration to outward engagement. During this transition, intuition is heightened. Insights may appear spontaneously. ideas arrive with unusual clarity. Problems that felt tangled the night before may feel more workable. The mind, refreshed by sleep, sees with new eyes. This threshold can also bring creativity. Many artists, writers, and thinkers throughout history described receiving ideas during this in-between state. The dream fragments blend with the waking world, forming new combinations, new inspirations. The imagination is still active, but self-criticism has not yet returned. The mind feels free, fluid, unbound. This is one reason why dreams sometimes seem to offer solutions or insights. The borderland invites creativity by placing the dreamer in a state of openness without the constraints of full rationality. But the edge of awakening is not always gentle. Some mornings arrive with a sense of heaviness, a lingering echo of a nightmare. The heart beats faster. The breath is shallow. The dreamer may wake with confusion or fear, unsure of where the dream ends and reality begins. In these moments, the mind is still emerging from the emotional intensity of REM, carrying the imprint of the dream forward. The body takes time to recalibrate. Gradually, the physical world reassures the mind. The bed is soft. The room is quiet. The danger was symbolic, not real. As grounding returns, the emotional residue softens. Even nightmares release their hold eventually, leaving the dreamer with a sense of having passed through something necessary, though difficult. The moments just after waking also reveal how connected we remain to our inner world. The boundaries between states of consciousness are more permeable than they seem. The mind is not divided into neat compartments. Dreaming and waking exist on a continuum. Each morning, we cross that continuum slowly, almost imperceptibly, guided by biological rhythms as ancient as life itself. The consciousness that emerges is shaped not only by the new day but by the night that preceded it. This transition also reminds us that the self we inhabit during the day is only one version of who we are. In dreams, we are fluid, shifting, expansive. We are unbounded by physical limitation, unrestrained by identity, free to explore emotional landscapes without consequence. When we awaken, that fluidity does not vanish completely. It lingers subtly, influencing mood, intuition, and creativity. The waking self is enriched by the dreaming self. Even when the dream is forgotten, some people savor this edge of awakening intentionally. They lie still for a moment before opening their eyes, allowing the dream to settle into memory. They breathe quietly, sensing the atmosphere between worlds. They experience the last traces of the dream world not as confusion, but as a gentle reminder of the vast inner landscape that lies beneath daily consciousness. In this stillness, the mind feels spacious, clear, and connected. It is a moment of presence, untouched by urgency. Over the course of a lifetime, the edge of awakening becomes a daily ritual, a quiet crossing, an unnoticed but essential, the moment when consciousness returns to the body. Every morning, the mind rises from its inner world like a diver emerging from deep water. The light grows brighter, the sounds sharpen, the body calls attention to itself once more. Yet the dream world does not vanish entirely. It leaves traces, impressions, and subtle influence, shaping who we become. The edge of awakening is a reminder of the continuity of inner experience. It shows that waking and dreaming are not separate realms, but two expressions of the same mind, flowing into one another with surprising grace. In that delicate transition, we glimpse the mind's full spectrum, its ability to imagine, to remember, to feel, to create, and to awaken, again and again, to the quiet miracle of being alive. And so, each morning, whether we notice it or not, we stand at the threshold between worlds. The dream recedes. The day begins. And for a brief, luminous moment. Both realities meet in the soft glow of consciousness returning. 20. The endless mystery of the dreaming mind. The dreaming mind is one of the oldest companions of human existence, always present, always shifting, always whispering in its own quiet language. Across countless nights, it has shaped our inner landscapes, carried our memories, softened our fears, and revealed glimpses of something far deeper than waking consciousness alone can hold. And even now, after centuries of study and reflection, dreams remain among the most mysterious expressions of the mind. They drift through sleep as gentle visions, symbolic puzzles, emotional mirrors, and immersive worlds where logic dissolves and imagination takes flight. The dream world is vast, fluid, and ever-changing, a place where the mind explores itself without the limitations of the physical world. To understand this endless mystery, one must first embrace the idea that dreaming is not a separate activity. It is a continuation of consciousness through a different lens. Just as the waking mind observes the external world, the dreaming mind observes the internal one. In dreams, the boundaries between memory and imagination fade. Emotion becomes landscape. Symbol becomes story. The self becomes fluid, capable of shifting forms, roles, and identities. This fluidity reveals something profound. Consciousness is not fixed. It is a living, breathing process, changing with each moment and expressing itself in ways both familiar and strange. Dreaming is often described as a rehearsal space for life, a place where the mind tests possibilities, practices responses, and explores emotions it may not fully acknowledge when awake. But dreaming is also more than that. It is a creative engine, a storyteller, a guardian of memory, a quiet therapist, a window into the deeper layers of the psyche. The dream world is not random chaos. It is a subtle conversation between the conscious mind and the subconscious, between reason and emotion, between the present and the past, between the known and the unknown. Each dream carries meaning, even when the meaning is not immediately clear. What makes dreams so elusive is not their content but their nature. They resist confinement. They evade complete understanding. They dissolve when examined too closely, like mist touched by light. The moment the waking mind tries to pin down a dream with logic, the imagery scatters. This elusiveness is part of their power. Dreams are not meant to be captured. They are meant to be experienced. Their truth lies in sensation, emotion, and impression, rather than explanation. The science of dreaming has offered many insights. We know that dreams emerge from the interplay of brain regions responsible for memory, emotion, and imagination. We know that REM sleep activates circuits that create vivid imagery and emotional intensity. We know that dreams help process experiences, reinforce learning, regulate mood, and maintain psychological balance. Yet even with all this knowledge, the subjective experience of dreaming remains a mystery that neuroscience cannot fully illuminate. The brain can be measured, but the dream itself, the feeling of being inside it, cannot be captured by instruments. There is something uniquely human about the way we wonder at our dreams. Animals dream too. Their paws twitch, their eyes dart behind closed lids, their bodies respond to invisible worlds. But humans reflect on dreams, tell stories about them, search for meaning in them. We ask why they feel so vivid, why they return, why they sometimes reveal truths we overlook in waking life. Dreams connect us to something ancient, something instinctive, something deeply personal. They reveal the layered nature of existence, the idea that life is not lived only in the external world, but also in the invisible realm within. Some dreams feel like mirrors, reflecting emotions we have tried to ignore. Others feel like messages, carrying insight from places we do not consciously access. Some feel like warnings, urging us to slow down or pay attention. Others feel like gifts, moments of beauty, connection, or peace that linger long after waking. Still others feel like riddles, puzzles that challenge the mind to interpret symbols, metaphors, and unfamiliar narratives. The dreaming mind communicates in ways that bypass ordinary reasoning, speaking directly to intuition instead. There are dreams that heal, dreams that unsettle, dreams that revisit old wounds to soften them, dreams that reconnect us with lost memories or loved ones who have passed. These dreams can carry deep emotional resonance, offering closure, comfort, or understanding that waking life cannot easily provide. The dream may not literally bring someone back, but it can restore a feeling, a presence, or a sense of continuity that the heart needs. This emotional resonance is part of what makes dreams feel sacred, even when they arise from ordinary neural activity. And then there are the rare dreams that feel transcendent, dreams that expand beyond the personal and touch something universal. These dreams may contain landscapes of light, encounters with mysterious figures, or experiences of unity that words cannot describe. They leave the dreamer with a sense of awe, as though they glimpsed something larger than themselves. Whether such dreams arise from the brain alone or from deeper layers of consciousness is a question that has lingered through the centuries. Mystics, philosophers, scientists, and ordinary dreamers have all wondered whether some dreams reach beyond the boundaries of the mind. Perhaps the mystery lies not in answering the question, but in experiencing the dream itself. The dream world invites curiosity, but resists certainty. It encourages exploration without offering final conclusions. It suggests that consciousness is multidimensional and that the mind contains vast regions that waking awareness rarely visits. Dreams remind us that we are more than our thoughts, more than our roles, more than our routines. They show us that identity is flexible, shaped by memory, emotion, and imagination. In dreaming, the self becomes a traveler in its own inner universe. The boundary between dreaming and waking is not as rigid as it seems. Ideas born in dreams influence waking creativity. Emotions processed in dreams shape waking mood. Insights gained in dreams guide waking decisions. And waking life, with all its complexity, provides the raw material for dreams to reshape. The two worlds feed one another, forming a continuous cycle of experience and reflection. As science continues to explore the brain, new discoveries will deepen our understanding of dreams. Researchers may uncover how specific memories are woven into dream narratives, how emotions influence dream content, or how consciousness shifts in and out of dreaming states. Yet no matter how much is learned, there will always be aspects of dreaming that remain ineffable, quiet mysteries beyond measurement, known only from within. For in the end, dreams are not merely biological events. They are experiences rich, strange, intimate experiences that reveal the depths of the human mind. They show us the complexity of our inner lives, the fluidity of consciousness, and the endless creativity of the psyche. They remind us that the mind is never static. It is always imagining, processing, integrating, questioning, and transforming. And every night, when sleep gently folds itself around us, we return to that inner world. We drift through landscapes shaped by memory and emotion, guided by intuition and instinct. We meet ourselves in symbolic form. We explore the unknown terrain of our own minds, and even when the dream fades, something within us is changed, softened, clarified, expanded. The mystery of the dreaming mind is endless, because it is a reflection of the endless mystery of consciousness itself. Each dream is a quiet journey into the inner cosmos, a reminder that beneath the surface of waking life lies a vast and luminous world, waiting to be explored again with each falling night.